Pod Mortem would like to thank Original Cinematic for sponsoring this week's episode. Original Cinematic is an independent production company that has made it their mission to create, produce, and promote films that are inclusive, honor women, promote the LGBTQIA+ community, and provide prominent positions and roles to POC actors and filmmakers, and promote the films of marginalized and underrepresented populations. These are all things that are extremely important to our podcast as well.
Original Cinematic is proud to be a WGA signatory company, and they fully stand by the WGA, SAG, and their members in their fight for extremely reasonable standards. Accordingly, they are not accepting script or treatment submissions at this time, but both William and Xxena Rush are available via email free of charge to discuss writing and provide input and resources to all aspiring writers. Their information will be made available in the show notes. Ahead of the strike, William Rush has individually produced numerous projects, including Coffee with Baba, Day by Day, They Slay, Before, Pack is Here, Abacue, The Winemaker, and Where Do You Draw the Line?
2 feature films, Group and Immersion, are slated for release this fall. Absolutely no picket lines will be crossed and no collective bargaining agreements will be violated in the making of either of these films. And very generously, Original Cinematic is providing all Podmortem patrons with a special link to view these films. If arrangements can be made, they will even schedule a virtual or in-person screening for our patrons. We cannot thank Original Cinematic enough for their contribution to our show and the horror community as a whole. Now, back to our regularly scheduled program.
Salutations! Welcome to Pod Mortem. I'm Reneé Hunter Vasquez, joined as always by my co-host, my husband, and my brother.
Hi, I'm John Paul Vasquez.
Hi, I'm Travis Hunter.
This week, we're recording live from the Abbey of St. Carta discussing the 2018 supernatural horror film, The Nun. This film was directed by Corin Hardy and written by Gary Dauberman and James Wan. The Nun is the 5th installment of the Conjuring franchise, expanding on the character of the demon nun Valak introduced in The Conjuring 2. Set in Romania in 1952, this film is the beginning of the Conjuring universe chronologically, and while it is widely considered lackluster when compared to the other Conjuring films, it was the most successful at the box office upon its release. This film was requested to us by friends of the show, Kent Morton, Allison Regal, Jordan Nash, and Megan M. We want to thank them so much for their support as well as this suggestion. So, what did you guys think of The Nun the first time you saw it?
We watched this together, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because I remember after we watched it, I remember not really liking it. I remember we were all pretty like, what the fuck?
Well, we watched it with... it was the 3 of us and our parents, and they had seen it before, but you and I had not.
Yeah. Watching it for the show, I don't feel as strongly about the movie like before, but it's still a miss for me. There is some cool things. I won't say that in the movie, like cool effects and visuals and whatever. I do like some of the things they do, but I think I don't like a lot of the things they do, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think we're on the same page here.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I watched it, I went to the theater with our parents. The theater was sold out.
Yeah.
I bet.
And so by the time we got our tickets, we were in the first row.
Ugh.
And so that... Everybody who knows me and has gone to the theater with me knows I'm very particular about where we sit. And sitting in that seat, I thought peppered my experience of the film. And so I hated it. And no, but I was like, I need to watch this again in a more comfortable way. Where I'm less focused on the pain in my neck and more focused on the film itself.
Right.
And so the second time I watched it was the first time you both watched it.
Oh, okay.
And then we kind of came away from it with very similar ideas.
It wasn't the seat.
No. I learned that, so I can sit there, I guess. It's fine.
That doesn't affect the movie
No.
at all.
Just my spine.
Yeah.
But I think the thing is, for me, whenever we watch the other Conjuring films, the mainline Conjuring films, because I know the spin-offs are a little hit or miss for us.
Right.
The mainline ones, there is an emotional weight to them, and we feel connected to them through... I don't know if it's James Wan's direction.
Right.
The performances, of course, Patrick Wilson, Vera Farmiga.
Yeah.
And the performances are fine in this film.
Right.
There's nothing against those, but it's something about the script of this film.
I think for me, maybe it felt muted or kind of just like it was just happening.
Yeah, I don't feel connected to any of this.
Yeah, like now I just kind of like, this is okay.
Yeah,
that's fine. Like you're in purgatory or something. It's like, I'm not mad at it. I don't love it.
Yeah, this is fine.
It's like,
it's fine.
It's all right. It's pretty good. It's not great.
Yeah, yeah.
But and I mean, there, like you said, there are good aspects of it. I do appreciate some of the visuals. I like them capturing so much in camera,
right,
versus CG.
Yeah.
I like where they filmed this.
Yeah.
The production design that goes into matching these locations in studio. Very good work.
Yeah.
There's some red light, which I mean.
So this is Giallo?
Nay, I swear to God. You're breaking my heart every time. But I mean, it just doesn't outweigh for me, it just feels mid.
Yeah. It's funny that you said that. That was the exact word I said to John Paul when I rewatched it.
Really?
To work on it. Because that first time that we watched it, I was like, oh, wow, this was insulting. Like, I didn't like none of it. There was nothing redeeming about it for me. Watching it again, it's hard to explain because it almost makes me, it's more disappointing because there is cool stuff in this.
Yeah.
But I will say for me, it is a miss as well. It's not Annabelle.
No.
Everybody knows I don't like that bitch. I don't fuck with Annabelle. I don't like Annabelle. I think Valak is really cool. I think that is what hurts me more. That is my favorite part of The Conjuring 2.
We went to see The Conjuring 2 twice just to see that scene again. Bonnie Aarons.
She's incredible. And when that is where you set the bar and then you tell me there's going to be a whole movie of that.
Yeah.
I'm fucking stoked. I'm so excited. And then this is what is served to me. It's just, I had said off mic when we met up today that there's a difference when somebody really cares about you and they're celebrating you and they make you a birthday cake, or like when somebody's like, here's your fucking cake. You know what I mean? And like a work thing where it's like, oh, happy birthday. You know what I mean? Like
you're like, my name has 2 E's at the end.
But this is fine. It's okay. It's fine.
Happy birthday, Reen.
Yeah. This is a happy birthday, Reen. That's what this is. There was no love made into this cake. We did not cook it with love. For me, I know that a lot of people do like this, and I love that you were able to take something away from it that I wasn't. But I wasn't. Like, it's the potential here. I think it's the wasted potential that it, like, hurts.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you think about the nun as a character from The Conjuring 2.
Right.
We learned on our episode for The Conjuring 2 that this aspect of this character was meant to originally just be a regular-ass demon.
Yeah.
And then in reshoots, they decide to change it to this nun character. And so by doing that, you obviously make it interesting for the character of Lorraine Warren, but you also make it very interesting for us.
Yes.
Right.
Because we're like, how the hell did this nun become evil?
Right.
Yeah.
And then you tell me, they told me personally.
He's like, Travis.
Yeah, James Wan called me on the phone. He's like, hey, Big T. Or Sweet T or whatever.
Sweet T.
Big T. Big T is my father. But they said that this is going to be the origin story of the nun.
Okay.
And so what I am thinking is we're going to get a very, very interesting story starting with Bonnie Aarons as a character of this nun that somehow goes through something that turns her into Valak.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I expected.
Well, when you hear origin, that's usually that's Peter Parker. before he gets bit. Like, that's usually what this means.
Well, the way that they do it in this movie, and I know we're going to get into it, I don't mind it either.
Okay.
But I feel like you should have maybe started there.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Maybe start there.
Yeah.
Instead of it being like, check this out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's start from there and then go on.
Sure.
Let's not even forget the fact that this was somewhat, breadcrumbed in Annabelle creation as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there is lead up. This could have been incredible.
And that's the thing in Annabelle creation is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That lends credence to, this is a nun who was
Yes.
Yeah.
a part of this convent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's hear her story.
Yeah.
Instead, it's like, well,
Fuck all that. We're coming to talk about something else. I was really trying to look into the production on this, and I weirdly could not find a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I did read that they literally announced this 5 days after The Conjuring 2 came out. They were like, this bitch is getting her own movie.
Well, the fan
so I
reaction.
thought that was,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
It was arguably, I know in my opinion, I'm pretty sure everyone here, best part of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
But it was announced with a script from David Leslie Johnson McGoldrick.
Really?
Who had a hand in writing Orphan,
Okay.
Orphan First Kill, The Conjuring 2.
Of course.
I mean,
Yeah.
and then a year later, they're like, and it's going to be directed by Corin Hardy, and it has a script from Gary Dauberman and James Wan.
Mm-hmm.
James Wan.
Yeah.
James Wan.
Yeah. Fog. Yeah.
I'm not, no, whatever. I think I've already I've made my opinions clear. But what happened? I want to know what happened in that interim.
What was that first?
What was the first script? Because I like what this dude has done.
Yeah.
I would really have loved to see what it was. And then you read more about it, and there was so much rewrites, so many reshoots.
It's too much fog. That's the thing. You can't see in the
We're all
I don't know what the
confused.
fuck- I can't read this.
I can't read this.
I think the thing for me with the difficulty of the reshoots is that reshoots don't necessarily translate to there's problems with this film.
Yeah.
But the thing is that there are problems with this film.
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so I tried to research as well and find out what was the reason behind these reshoots. What were they trying to do? Was it studio notes that made them say, hey, you need to change this?
Right.
Couldn't find anything.
Yeah, I couldn't either. It was kind of driving me a little mad.
Yeah.
It just feels like there are certain things, like I wrote a story recently and I changed something that happened in it. But when I went back to reread it, there were pieces of the old thing that happened that I had to go back. That's what a lot of this feels like.
Yeah.
It's like that we were telling a lot of different stories and there's leftover pieces of stuff that got rewritten, but we didn't go back and erase the tracks of where that was going.
So they meant to do this?
No.
Oh.
I don't know. Now, before we investigate this film, we would like to issue a warning for spoilers. Podmortem is a very in-depth podcast, and in thoroughly discussing horror films, we have no choice but to spoil a thing or two. If you don't wish to be spoiled, please go watch the film, then come back and enjoy the show. If you've already seen the film or don't care about spoilers, then let us pray. The film opens with the voice of Lorraine Warren, played by Vera Farmiga. She tells her husband, Ed Warren, played by Patrick Wilson, as he paints on a canvas that she had a premonition of his death in Amityville. We get a flash of this premonition, Ed being impaled. We see that Ed is painting a portrait of the horrifying and iconic-looking nun, Valak, played by Bonnie Aarons.
I'm sorry, I'm already laughing, but the premonition from The Conjuring 2 is very funny to me.
It's like jarring.
He goes, Lorraine, I'm sorry. He gets impaled. It's very funny.
That's it.
And then the painting, he's like, yeah, I just woke up and started painting this.
Yeah.
The scariest thing you've ever seen.
Wow.
It's like, what?
Super cash.
He just shrugs it off. And what's wild is it must have been changed later. It was probably just a picture of a demon.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember we were talking about that
That's
when
right.
we covered it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Ed, are you okay?
But Lorraine continues that they have both seen the same inhuman spirit. We flash back to their daughter, Judy, played by Sterling Jarens, asking Lorraine who that is. We follow her point to the end of the hall, where Valak stands menacingly. She silently walks into a room.
It's that moment. There's something about the way, I think it's the way it's shot, where you have Judy, it's unveiled to you.
Yeah.
And the floral patterns on the wall, and then just boom.
Yeah.
I honestly think that it's possible that that scene was so good, it set this movie up for failure no matter what.
Yeah, but then it's like, don't make the movie then. Because they're like, we can't do that.
Yeah.
We can't do that for an hour and a half. But we see the painting, and when the light turns off, her eyes stare at us. Lorraine's voice proclaims that the demon in this painting is real. We get text on screen that reads, "The following occurred in 1952. We see a castle presiding over a graveyard. Text reads, Abbey of St. Carda, Romania. Inside, two nuns navigate their way through a corridor made cramped by crosses with thick fog swimming at their feet. Because you got it.
I mean,
Yeah.
it comes with the territory.
Yeah. They reach a door with Latin scratched into the wood. It is translated to "God ends here."
I just want to say that's wild for the nuns to have etched that into the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's even more wild?
Huh.
That the nuns are speaking English.
Yes! I was very confused by that. We're in Romania.
But
Yeah. No shit.
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, because they put the subtitles for the wood, but then they're
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
are you sure this is okay?
They're like, bitch, this is scary, dude.
Right, what does that say?
Like, you live here.
You goddamn live here. But clearly afraid, Sister Victoria, played by Charlotte Hope, asks Sister Jessica, played by Ani Sava, if she's sure they're making the right decision. Mirroring her friend's fear and clutching onto a large ornate key, Jessica only reasons that they have no other choice. She crosses herself before pulling the door open, and Victoria asks if the relic will truly save them. Holding her lantern while standing before the blackness unveiled by the open door, Jessica tells her to have faith. She crosses the threshold and disappears into the darkness.
I do want to say that key looked amazing.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
did.
Props did great work.
Yeah. And you have faith. I'm going to go wait over there. It's like
I'm a little-
that's all right.
I'm not sure.
Did you put this fog here? or-
Victoria immediately drops to her knees and with the voice trembling in fear, begins to recite the Lord's Prayer. We zoom in on the darkness until we hear the rattling of chains and a tortured scream from Sister Jessica. Victoria is startled by this and stops praying. Suddenly, Jessica's hand, stained red with blood, comes plunging out of the darkness. She drops the key on the ground and demands Victoria take it. She tells her that the evil needs a vessel to escape. Blood running down her face, she warns Victoria that it will come after her next and that she can't let it have her. She tells Victoria that she knows what she must do, but sobbing, Victoria protests that she can't. Defeated, Jessica tells her that not even God can save. But before she can finish the thought, Jessica is yanked backwards into the darkness by something hidden and growling.
So the angle that this was shot in, we knew she's getting dragged away.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I think we've talked before about how, like, it's enough already with the dragon.
Yeah.
Boring. I'm over it.
Yeah.
There was a time when it was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why it's not anymore, because everybody's like, oh, hell yeah. We're all doing it.
Yeah.
Maybe if she would have got picked up maybe halfway
Hey.
and
And then pulled?
pulled up
Yeah.
and back.
Yeah.
Not just straight back.
Make it-
It's something different.
Yes. You can, I mean, but to do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
What she's saying is pretty scary, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to hear it from a nun is a little...
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what's scary. Victoria scoops up the key and sprints back the way they came. Once on the other side of the door, she locks it behind her and catches her breath. Clutching the key to her chest, she grabs a piece of rope and looks longingly up at a crucifix mounted on the wall. Without aid, the door opens on its own, revealing the long corridor she just escaped from. Tears in her eyes, Victoria turns away from it, and instead, she makes her way to the open window and begs God for forgiveness for the sin she is about to commit. The rope is tied into a noose and she wraps it around her neck. She glances backward into the corridor and a nun, draped in shadows, stands there. The crucifix on the wall slowly turns upside down as the candles go out around the nun in the corridor as she glides forward.
This is effective.
It's great.
Yeah.
That shot's great.
Yes.
The candles, the way it's unveiling.
And
Right.
Nancy from The Craft, gliding. We love to see it.
She's sorry!
Sorry, Mom.
I said she because it was the nun.
Yeah. Overcome with her anguish and fear, Victoria asks for forgiveness one last time before jumping out of the window. The rope pulls taut and the crucifix bursts into flames. The nun continues to approach and the window closes on its own. In the reflection of the glass, we see her menacing outline accompanied by an ominous score with like an evil choir.
That's the only way we can describe it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what it is about the human voice. When you get to some low registers, it's downright frightening.
Yeah.
I did want to talk about the composer because I think he does a great job in this film.
Yes.
Abel Korzeniowski. He actually scored Penny Dreadful.
Okay.
He did Nocturnal Animals, which is a pretty good film. I don't know if you've seen it.
No.
No.
It's pretty good. Watch it. At least I remember liking it.
Yeah.
Don't.
I was like, why are you already second guessing it?
Well, because I watched it a long time ago, and I don't want people to go see it, and they're like, "What the fuck?" And then I'm like, "Oh wait, no, old Travis loved it. I hate it now, or whatever. I don't know." But he's also credited as a musician on 30 Days of Night.
Oh, nice.
All right.
So he's been in this realm.
Yeah.
Right.
Nocturnal Animals isn't horror, but you know,
It's a movie.
it's a movie
Yeah,
that
it
I think I like.
That might be good.
But I really wanted to talk about this production design in this film.
Yeah.
It all started with that corridor for me, and I was like, oh, we're in for some treats.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about this film is the production designer was Jennifer Spence, and she's done a lot of the Conjuring films, the spin-offs.
Okay.
She's done a few of the Insidious sequels. She also did The Lords of Salem,
Oh, all right.
Oh, wow.
which we all agreed that the production design.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
I like that movie. I don't care.
No, we know. We covered it. We
Yeah,
remember.
oh, yeah.
Yeah. we were all there.
That whole episode we did. But they shoot at a few castles in Romania legitimately.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so this one is Corvin Castle. I saw in the behind the scenes featurette, it was built in the 15th century.
Mm-hmm.
They were trying to be a little spooky with the thing.
Right.
Because they said it's one of the 7 terrors of Romania. It's technically one of the 7 wonders of Romania.
Yeah.
But they got to try to.
We got to put a spin on it, man.
But-
Put your hot sauce on it.
And it's
Yeah.
spicy.
Yeah.
But they filmed for 1 week there.
Uh-huh.
And so you'll see a lot of the exterior shots, some even interior shots. The thing that I'm saying as far as her production design is I can't tell when they've gone from the actual castle to the studio.
Not at all.
Yeah, no.
So it's really, really good work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, nobody can take that away from
No.
this film.
Yeah, hell no. If you told me that they really filmed in a castle, I'd believe
The whole
it.
thing.
Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. I'd be like, oh, no, yeah.
Yeah.
Shit. I can tell. Look how old it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at those
But it's
walls.
not. Yeah. Look
I
at the
did-
skeleton.
Was that skeleton here when we got I did read a little bit about Corvin Castle, and it's really interesting because Dracula was such an influence on the style of this film.
Mm-hmm.
And this castle that they're filming in was an influence on Bram Stoker when he wrote Dracula.
Oh, okay,
wow.
So it's a really cool full circle moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of them filming in actual castles in Romania, I read that they filmed pieces, obviously not a lot, and you'll see why. They filmed pieces of it at Parliament Palace in Romania.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking, I went down a rabbit hole and ended up on Romania Insider. I don't know. They said it was the world's largest administrative building.
Oh.
Damn.
It's one of the 7 terrors of But they were charged £5,000 an hour.
Ooh.
An hour.
An hour to film there.
Ooh. That's,
Yeah. And they
wow.
were still like, all right. So yeah, they said like corridors and like a couple key places in the building. But yeah, I thought that was fucking wild.
Damn.
Well, you know what I'm wondering is if it's a matter of this is what we'd be making with
Yes.
with tourism.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because they said that it is
okay.
open to the public.
Yeah.
So it's like, if we got to shut this down for y'all to film here, you got to make that up, you know?
Yeah,
But
no,
whew,
yeah.
That's
that's
Well,
steep.
Hey, but you know what? At least they know what, you know what I mean? Hey, look, we can't afford anything less than that.
yeah.
Yeah.
We have to keep these doors open and keep things running. Take it or leave
You
it.
want to or not.
You want it or not.
And speaking of these locations, I did want to mention that Corin Hardy said, I saw in an interview that he talked about having a Romanian priest come and bless all the locations where they filmed.
Okay.
And he did talk about a couple supernatural experiences that he himself had while we
Oh, wow.
were
Oh, all
while
right.
we were filming.
Why do we keep putting ourselves? What are we doing?
While they were filming, and I'll talk about it later.
Well, I know Corvin Castle alone has a history to it.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, Vlad the Impaler was held prisoner there.
Oh shit!
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
I love that for him.
I was like, oh, Vlad? Yeah.
Hell yeah,
Have you
man!
guys met Vlad yet? Nice guy.
He's cool as shit.
Yeah. So I know you guys mentioned it earlier, but as of right now, I'm in.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
what we've witnessed so far, the nuns, the having to do what you got to do, not letting this evil out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm with it. That's fine.
We can overlook the dragging
Yes.
Yeah. No, yeah.
because this is
Reluctantly.
interesting.
Yeah.
But we cut to the woods in the morning where Frenchie, played by Jonas Bloquet, sings happily as he drives a carriage to the church and then drags a wheelbarrow full of bags and vegetables up to a door. Suddenly, a crow calls out into the morning from its perch on a cross and gets Frenchie's attention. He is in shock when he looks past the crow and sees Sister Victoria's lifeless body still hanging from her neck by the rope from the window. Crows stand guard on her body, cawing. Blood drips down from Victoria's feet onto the stones below. Frenchie quietly calls out for God, and suddenly the crows scatter as Victoria's body falls to the ground.
On the featurette, they said that Corvin Castle actually translates to Crow Castle.
Oh, wow.
nice.
That's cool.
All right.
That's cool.
Little Easter egg.
Yeah. But the murder accosts us, and in the resulting blackness, we get the title in white, The Nun.
I'm going to be honest. I was very surprised that her jumping didn't inspire the title sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having it here, I was like, it's daytime.
Like,
Yeah.
no, make her fall. I was like, okay.
Oh, all right. We'll come back to it.
Yeah. Her face.
Yes.
That looked fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I was
It's
honestly
horrifying.
surprised.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I know that, aren't they, the Conjuring films rated R, but it feels like they're really not rated R for a specific reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than general terror. or whatever.
Just the fear aspect of it.
But I feel like there's more blood in this film than past entries.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's kind of surprising, and it does kind of set itself apart in that way.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. You got to give it that.
Yeah.
But Father Burke, played by Damian Bashir, stands looking out of a window, and text on screen alerts us that he's overlooking Vatican City.
Damien Bashir.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to see him because I like everything that I like his performances and everything I've seen him in.
Okay.
But not everything you've seen. Him.
No.
I was like, you chose your words very
Yeah.
carefully.
Well, he was in the last 3 seasons of Weeds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which I think we all agree.
Talk about starting off strong and getting real fucking disappointing.
Well, losing Celia was the problem.
Yeah, but
We'll talk.
that's another show.
That's a whole other- but he was Senor Bob in The Hateful Eight,
Holy shit.
and he was great.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
And that movie's great.
Yeah, that was a
Yes,
pretty good
it
movie.
is. I was looking at John Paul.
It was all right.
Yes, it is.
You were worried.
It's not that
Right?
He's just getting less
good.
and less.
Yeah.
It sucked.
Nay, stop looking at him. Are you telling him to say this with your eyes? What's happening?
I hated it.
I did read in the Daily Dead that his character, they had an interview with Corin Hardy, and he said 3 influences on this character.
Okay.
2 I can absolutely see.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
The first 2, Van Helsing,
Okay.
Yeah.
Damien Karras.
Duh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
and
the big
that's
one.
pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he goes, and also Dirty Harry. I was like, what? I'm sorry?
See, I was reading more Antonio Banderas.
Yeah?
So I was like, I don't... Yeah, because in Desperado, he's pretty... less words and more action.
Okay.
So him just kind of sitting there, just... I was like, all right, he's going to be a badass guy or whatever.
Yeah.
And not saying anything about his character, but you know what I mean? But okay, Dirty Harry, all right.
I
don't get it. Yeah,
But sure.
Yeah,
But
sure.
yeah, I love that.
And it's very funny that you said less words, more action, because that's basically a line that he says later.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
Okay.
I mean, there you go.
Yeah.
But Bishop Pasquale, played by Michael Smiley, comes in. They walk down the hall together, and Pasquale reminds Father Burke that the last time he was here was 6 or 7 years ago. Father Burke confirms this, saying that he came after his time as a chaplain and the war ended. Pasquale thanks him again for coming due to the short notice. He leads Father Burke into a dimly lit room where Cardinal Conroy, played by David Horovich, is waiting for him.
I think what we learn about Father Burke later, I would have liked a little hint here. You get that little line.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
But I would have liked more.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A lot of this feels like we have Frankensteined a lot of narratives together.
Yeah.
And so stuff that they're saying and doing later on does not match the people that we meet.
No.
But anyway, Burke and Pasquale take their seats, and the cardinal explains to Burke that a nun died by suicide in an abbey in Romania. Burke accepts that this is awful news, but he doesn't understand why it permits them meeting up. He quickly comes to the assumption that there is something Conroy isn't telling him. When Conroy asks why he feels that way, Burke says simply, because they're in the Vatican. The cardinal finally admits that this is a rare circumstance when it is not them that is keeping the secret. Bishop Pasquale quickly slides a folder over to Burke, telling him that his travel documents and the contact information for the man who found the nun are inside.
Can you just make a passport for somebody?
I mean, apparently. Well, the fact that he's given them no information and he's like, look, you got to get the fuck out. Like, here, take your shit and go.
You leave tonight.
Yeah. You're late. He tells him that he is traveling to a small village called Birton and that he's going to want to speak to that man first. Conroy chimes in that the folder also contains the name of a postulate that can help him. He says that since it's a cloistered convent, Burke will have limited access, but the postulate is already familiar with the territory. Burke reveals a small photo of Sister Irene, played by Thaisa Farmiga. He looks contemplatively up at the cardinal. We cut to St. Vincent's Hospital in London, England. Sister Irene sits in a classroom with children gathered around her. She tells a story in solemn tones that despite surviving many terrifying encounters, nothing could have prepared her for this. The children are hanging on her every word as she admits that her only hope was that the beast couldn't smell her. But then the wind changed. Suddenly, she brings out 2 toy dinosaurs and slams them on the table, producing a roar and a fake scream. The children are startled at first, but they quickly laugh as Irene playfully cautions them all to run for their lives.
I don't know why it made me laugh that you said that they were startled first.
Well, they were. Like, oh, God.
They were.
Oh, so we're fine.
Yeah.
We're fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
She's not going to let anything happen to us.
It's all fun and games until Student, played by Izzy Coffey, pipes up. She tells Irene that Mother Superior says that the dinosaurs never existed and the bones were just put there to test our faith. Irene admits that sounds like a pretty dirty trick to her. Mother Superior, played by Lynette Gaza, quietly comes into the room and stands in the doorway as the student defends that dinosaurs aren't even in the Bible. Irene asks if they believe in penguins and koala bears, and when she receives a resounding yes, she drops the bomb that they're not in the Bible either.
She's like, shit.
She's like, oh, I crunched your fucking face.
Mother Superior's like, Sister Irene.
Yeah, she was pretty upset. I had never heard this before.
Huh.
What she's saying that they
about the
them
dinosaurs.
telling the kids, the dinosaurs wasn't real.
I mean, a lot of people believe a lot of things.
Yeah, I've heard this theory.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it was 65 million years ago. But
Yeah.
Whatever.
yeah, it's no big deal. Science and
Who cares about science?
fossil records.
But Irene continues that the Bible is a love letter to us from God, but that doesn't mean he doesn't want us to ask questions about the wonder of his creations. The student protests again, saying, but Mother Superior says, but Irene interrupts her with a dramatic gasp. She tells her that she's got something on her nose and surprises her by poking it with some red paint.
Did you think she was going to say that she was a brown noser?
Oh, no.
Dude, I would have died laughing.
I thought that's where she was going.
Is that Mother Superior shit on your nose? Jesus Christ.
I thought she was going to make fun of like that.
Yeah.
Oh, Mother
Yeah.
Superior. But then I was like, oh, she's right there.
Or like
Be careful.
Yeah, when she like does an impression of her or something.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is a really cool way to introduce her and how she kind of has her own way of thinking and of digesting her own faith. I thought that this was really interesting. I feel like it doesn't really come up.
No.
There is nothing for her to question. There is nothing for her to like think with logic instead of with her faith to figure out like this character that we're establishing is way more interesting than what she's given to work with moving forward.
Okay, and there's something that they say quite a few times later on throughout the movie, but thinking about it now, it's like, well, that what?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, and when you think about it, you're like, why would the Vatican request this punk rock nun?
Yeah.
You know, as well.
I don't understand. So, and is the Vatican like New Vegas?
Yes.
I've never been, so I don't know.
I guess it is. But everyone is laughing about the red paint thing, not about the brown noser thing.
That never happened.
Yeah. But when Mother Superior loudly clears her throat from the doorway, the children treat it like a sitcom and are like, ooh. We cut to Irene standing in front of Mother Superior in another classroom after having been given the news. She's surprised to be receiving an assignment from the Vatican, and Mother Superior lets her know coldly that she's not the only one surprised. She's like, I heard what the fuck you said, what you said about dinosaurs in there, bitch. I heard.
I have ears everywhere. That student's one of my spies.
Well, shit. The little finger or
The whisper.
yeah.
But Irene says that she hasn't even taken her vows yet. And Mother Superior says that they know, but he is waiting for her in the garden. As she goes to leave the room, she tells Irene to put on her habit because this is an official visit. And the punk rock nun was just wearing street clothes.
Yeah.
She was wearing a Dead Kennedy shirt.
In 1952.
Yeah. Somehow.
That's how badass she was. But she shakes her head in frustration on the way out. Mother Superior does. She's like very annoyed.
Mm-hmm. And evidence is just piling up as to you're like, why would they request Sister Irene?
Yeah.
And we get a mild explanation of it later.
Barely though.
But it still doesn't.
Why do y'all want that nun that just crunched that little girl's face?
Yeah.
I did want to talk about the casting of Taissa Farmiga.
Okay.
Because I think we are very well aware.
Yes.
And so was Corin Hardy. He was kind of worried. He said in an interview with Digital Spy that his worry was that people would think that Taissa Farmiga just immediately got the job because her sister is the co-star of the franchise.
Right.
Yeah.
But he said in reality, there were hundreds of people who auditioned for this role. And the studio specifically requested someone of European from these countries that we're going to.
Right.
Yeah.
And instead, after seeing Taissa Farmiga's audition, he kind of moved everybody else to the side and he was like, this is the best person for the job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she just ended up getting cast that way.
Okay.
I like her a lot. I think she's
Yeah.
a really great actress. Again, my only complaint is they don't give her a lot to work with besides being scared after a certain point.
Yeah, and they don't. And I think that's what's bothersome is the character that you said we start with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want more of this later. And then she kind of just is muted, like you
Yes.
said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it's just like she's very, very by the book, which was not.
That's not what's established.
Yeah.
No.
That's not what's
Yes.
established here.
And since they said it once already about the vowels, this comes up a few times.
Yeah.
And again, okay, well then let's see why or let's whatever. But no, it's just,
No.
it's just there. Okay, you told us already. I don't.
Yeah,
I
because
don't care.
she's questioned about it soon.
Yeah.
And her reaction kind of gives like she's conflicted about the stuff that she believes to be
Yes.
true and the stuff that she's being taught. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And then obviously not to spoil anything, but we get to a certain point where she's like, oh no. That's not what it was at all.
yeah.
You know?
Like, what?
It's very weird.
I came to the same. That was
You
the
know?
same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, more to what you said about Vera Farmiga being in this. She was asked, I think it was an interview with Collider at Comic-Con. I could be wrong. But they asked her if her sister being in the franchise helped her get the job.
Just straight up.
Yeah, and he very quickly was like, no, that worked against her. That made it harder for her to get this job. Plus the fact that they look so much alike.
Yeah.
I think that I would worry that the audience is first, and some people do feel this way, that their first instinct would be, oh, they're related. They're somehow related.
See, and
Okay.
Yeah.
how much they look alike, it almost feels strange that you know that they're never going to connect these two characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where, depending on the year that this is, you're like, oh, that's Lorraine's mother. Or,
Yeah.
oh, that's her sister. Or
No, it would be sister, because we meet them in the 70s, right?
Oh,
This
yeah.
is the 50s.
it's not 1908. 1908.
It's not 1908.
That's not even a
But
year.
they could literally be like some years apart.
Yeah.
You know?
And honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing them team up in some kind of Conjuring universe.
I would like it. I'm not gonna lie. And then their faith. I mean, it would kind of make sense, but you know, I mean,
Yeah.
the Nun 2 is coming out soon.
It is. Although I will say that's a lot of shit happening to one family.
Yeah. No shit.
Might be a little too
Kind of
much.
unfair.
Save some demons for the rest of us.
I kind of like that it's just her in the movie.
Yeah.
I know we do get her sister in bits and pieces, but I did enjoy that it's mainly just her.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I've liked her since American Horror Story.
Absolutely.
I think she's a very, very strong actress.
She
Yeah.
is. But wearing her white habit, Irene walks with Father Burke in the garden. He assures her that it won't take more than a day or two and that she was picked because of her familiarity with the territory. When Irene is confused by this, Father Burke explains that he's referring to Romania. But Irene says there must have been some mistake because she's never been to that part of the world at all. She apologizes to Father Burke for having wasted his time over a mistake, but Burke dismisses this. There was no mistake. Every decision the Vatican makes is with a purpose, and they must have had their reasons for picking her.
So this is setting up that scene later.
Yeah.
But at the moment, you're like, why the hell?
Is this the mop?
They just close their eyes and throw darts at a phone book
Yeah,
or something?
Irene.
Sister Irene. Because, I mean, she's not taking her vows.
No.
But why would they? They lied to Father Burke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did.
Oh, does she know? She was born in Romania.
Yeah.
That's why I thought it was going to be a bigger, I mean, I don't know. I feel like we're setting up a lot here that just does not deliver, for me
Yeah.
anyway. But we cut immediately to a flood of red blood gushing down stone steps. Frenchie wakes up in his bed with a cry, disturbed by the imagery of his nightmare. I did read in a couple different places that Corin Hardy was the one to throw this blood and that he wanted to be the one to do it, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I would too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But as he sits up and tries to get his mind right, there's a knock at the door, and text lets us know that we were back in Birton, Romania, which, yeah, that's where Frenchie lives.
Yeah.
The knocking grows more impatient, and when Frenchie opens the door, it's revealed to be Father Burke doing the knocking, with Irene standing beside him, once again in regular clothes.
I have to admit, when I saw them there, I was like, oh, so we're just in Romania.
Yeah.
There's no discussion between them because I thought we were going to get a scene of them, more character moments of them traveling together.
Yeah.
No.
And they're just like, oh, no, we're meeting this man this morning.
Yeah.
The Vatican doesn't make mistakes. Let's go.
We'll use their teleportation service.
Yeah. Father Burke asks if he's Mr. Theriot, and instead of answering him, Frenchie sets its sights on Irene and gives her a quiet hi. He asks Burke if he's a jealous husband or an angry father. Burke doesn't understand, but Frenchie explains that when an older man shows up on his doorstep with a young, beautiful, not so innocent girl, it's usually one of the two. I gotta say, for somebody wearing Charlie Kelly pajamas
Yeah.
and has not brushed his teeth yet.
Yeah.
You're doing a lot. You should go back inside and start over. This is unacceptable.
Yeah, are we supposed to like him, or he's just here for the comic, like the relief, or is he? I don't know.
Oh, I'm not laughing.
No, me either. But
No,
I'm just trying to figure out.
Yeah. I gotta admit, I feel like there's a lot of moments that it feels like Frenchie's attitude is a note from the studio,
Yeah.
where they're like,
Yeah.
we need more levity, and also make him really horny.
Yeah.
If you could just put this horn dog in this film,
Yeah.
we'd really appreciate it, because it seems so. There's a moment later on where there's a cut that it seems like you've added this in. This was reshoots.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, he needs to be hornier.
Yeah, but even that's muted because it's very just like, all right.
John Paul's like, you call that?
Yeah, that's flaccid. All right.
Oh, come on now. A little decorum.
This is a film about a nun.
The 2018. The horror film. It's all right. It's all right. It's not a classic by any means. But then also, I was very offended as well with him saying, "What does he not so innocent?"
I know she's literally just standing there. I don't even think she's spoken yet.
Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
But with an apology, Irene informs him that they have never met before, and Frenchie turns on the charm. He steps up to her, kisses her hand, and suggests that it's time they did. He tells her to call him Frenchie because everyone does. It's like, well, I feel really special.
Yeah.
All these bitches call me Frenchie.
Jesus.
But Burke interrupts, letting Frenchie know that they're here because of the nun he found in the Abbey. And this man is fresh out of a nightmare too. So he just really
Yeah.
okay.
And he found a body a few days ago.
Literally.
Shit.
And he's like, no, we priorities.
Yeah.
But this is when Frenchie notices their suitcases. He asks if Father Burke is a priest, and he confirms this, letting him know also that Irene is a nun. Frenchie drops her hand like it burned him and chuckles. He begs her forgiveness for his impure thoughts, explaining that he didn't know because he's never seen a nun out of her vestments. Not that he's opposed to it.
He's like, I gotta switch gears.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to give me a minute.
It seems like everything he says just ends with some like layer of
Yeah. It's very weird.
Yeah.
But he grabs a bag of food for his animals and leaves into his yard to feed them. Burke and Irene follow behind him, and Burke asks if the Abbey is far. Frenchie says that it's not far by distance, but it does take some time to get to. Irene asks what Frenchie was doing there, and Frenchie answers that he was delivering the quarterly supplies because the Abbey has had an arrangement with the village for centuries. He continues about his business like they're not even there, and when Burke asks if he could take them there sometime soon, he tells him that he doesn't think so.
This is an issue with me for the writing where it seems as if different scripts were kind of meshed together.
Mm-hmm.
Because he literally says, apparently they have a arrangement with the village. We learned that he's been doing this for 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not an apparently.
Yeah,
You've
they
been
haven't-
going here
Yeah.
for 2 years.
Yeah.
Every week or whatever.
So maybe just I've been doing it, since I've been working on doing the deliveries for 2 years.
Yeah.
So I mean, they must.
That's just what they do.
Yeah, that's what they do.
But then they also set him up as this like traveler.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
why
yeah.
don't you just have it that he just got here?
Yeah.
Pick one.
Because he has a
Yeah.
line and a little bit that makes him more likable.
Does it?
They're supposed to make him more likable. Irene asks if there's someone in the village that could take them, but Frenchie tells her that the people in the village pretend that the Abbey doesn't even exist and that talking about it could get her in trouble. Although they do have a centuries-long arrangement with the Abbey.
Yeah.
But they also pretend that it doesn't exist.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But whatever, whatever.
Who has this agreement?
Yeah. Frenchie does now.
Think of that.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Fuck.
Whatever. Get past it. Burke takes this to mean that the matter is settled and that Frenchie will take them, but Frenchie immediately starts to deny this. Irene interrupts, asking him please and using his nickname. Frenchie immediately begins to soften and a smile crosses his face.
So Father Burke asks, and he's like, "No, I'm good."
Yeah.
And then she asks, and he's like, for you, McGonagall. It's like, what? I'm like, if I'm Father Burke, I'm like, yeah, fuck me, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we're going to the same place.
Yeah, I also need to go.
I'm coming with y'all.
It's not like we're asking for 2 different locations.
Yeah.
I don't
Drop
know.
me off on the way. No, we're going, all 3 of us, whether you like it or not.
Yes.
Father Burke didn't call him Frenchie.
Oh, yeah, he kept calling him by his surname.
By
Yeah.
his actual name.
Yeah.
What a dick, right? But we immediately cut to him leading Father Burke and Sister Irene down a road. Frenchie walks past them as they load their belongings into the back of a truck, informing them that they're now in the Dark Ages in the backwoods of Romania. The truck starts and begins to drive away without them, taking their suitcases with it, and it's revealed that Frenchie was standing on the other side next to his horse. He tells them that from here they travel by horse and asks where their things went.
To be honest, like, Irene just busts out laughing. I'm like, your shit's leaving, dude.
I'd be crying.
Yeah, somebody needs to get that.
Yeah, Irene laughs, but Burke looks annoyed. Frenchie whistles, getting the truck to stop so that they can get their things. And Irene is still laughing her ass off, very tickled.
I don't like this.
No.
I was like, what the fuck is happening here?
Nothing bothers her, man. She's the rock star nun. It all rolls off her back.
All
so
your
all of her
clothes are gone.
belongings.
Yeah. All your shit's
Whatever. Do it for the experience.
But I agree with you. I don't know why this didn't work for me.
Yeah.
I think maybe, I don't know, it just feels so tacked on with Frenchie as a character. And
Maybe.
also the fact, it's just so nitpicky for me. But that the whistle, the driver's like, oh, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Like
Is that Frenchie? Oh,
we never hear whistles in this village. And so that means that I need to stop.
Yeah.
It was a French whistle, and it was directed at me. I did want to point out, though, that the license plate is 6VA01LAK.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I will give it that.
It's a carryover from.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Very good.
But we cut to them traveling down the Romanian road in Frenchie's carriage.
That shot of the hillside is beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
It is really pretty.
I was very, very appreciative that they actually shot in Romania
Yeah.
Yeah.
because you get things like this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But Burke is working on a crossword, and when he ponders the answer to the postman's charge and mutters that it's a 10-letter word with an L, Irene gives him the answer: deliveries. Burke comments that she has a knack for this, and she smiles. Now, there is this weird moment of her smiling and then looking like guilty, or it was a weird thing that I thought was going to lead to something, and it didn't.
Yeah.
The way that I took it, it was the way that she responds to his praise was almost like, oh my God, he noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I thought that it was going to be, maybe there was going to be some kind of riddle that she has to solve later. And he's like, oh, Sister Irene.
Yeah.
Dude,
But never.
this
No.
situation with the crossword comes back in a way that made me fucking laugh out loud, and I cannot wait to get to it. But she turns her attention to Frenchie, asking what brings a Frenchman to Romania, and he confides that he's actually French-Canadian, and he asks that she not tell anyone because it doesn't sound as romantic.
Everything that he says to her in this carriage, she could not look more uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I put. She turns away, clearly already made uncomfortable by him.
Yeah.
Then he finally gives a real answer. He says that he came here in search of gold, but he stayed because of the people. When he met them, he realized that this is where he's supposed to be, and he wanted to help them in any way he could. So that's why he's been here for 2 years, because...
But when I met you, you were just trying to fuck me.
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
Well, he's
I mean,
run out of
right
people in
away.
the village. He's
Yeah.
been here 2 years.
That was good God, man.
Well, hey, Father Burke was trying to talk to him, and then he's like, whatever, dude, how are you doing?
No, it's very
he
clear.
was.
Yeah, it's very clear.
He was. But this is the scene I'm talking about where these weird edits are like spliced in from 2 days different footage, it feels
Yeah.
like. Because it doesn't feel like this is organic to me.
No.
at
No,
all.
it's weird. Because it's a lot of her turning and smiling at him and then turning away looking uncomfortable and then turning back like nothing happened. And then it's just a little strange.
I understand getting more than you need when it comes to footage,
Yeah.
but you don't use all of it.
We've got a couple more shots. We'll
Well,
figure it out.
Yeah.
well,
Just put him all in.
She's confused. She's interested.
Yeah.
She's everything.
But turning back toward him with a smile, Irene comments that that's very noble of him. He says, I know. And she turns back around. He turns the questions on her, asking how long she's been a nun. She admits that she's not a nun yet. She's still a novitiate, which is a very cool word.
Yeah, I had never heard it before.
No. Burke asks if she's taken her temporary vows, and before she can answer, Frenchie interrupts, confused. He says that he didn't think there was anything temporary about being a nun. Irene explains that the temporary vows would prepare her for her life of total consecration. Frenchie asks her, would or will? And she has nothing to say to this. Again, really hinting at some inner conflict within her that, I'll speak for myself, would have been very interesting to see explored.
Yeah.
But it's not.
That was in the other script.
Yeah, that part got cut. Just the breadcrumbs of it stayed. Love that. But suddenly, Frenchie stops his horse. He tells him that they need to walk the rest of the way from here because the horse won't go any further. Burke suggests that he get himself a new horse. But Frenchie says that it's not the horse. The horse is scared of what lies ahead. He elaborates that the locals say that it's a cursed place, and the horse agrees with them, despite the fact that they don't talk about or acknowledge this place. They do say that it's cursed.
Yeah.
And Irene looks at a crude cross that's been hung up.
What I thought was funny was he looks puzzled when they stopped. He's like, oh, the horse stopped. There's a fucking thing to tie your horse up right there.
Yeah.
Like, you knew you were going to have to stop.
He does look startled because he's like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, no, he never goes past here.
What the fuck?
He's like, in fact, I put this hitching post here.
Yeah. This is his post.
It's weird.
But as they walk the rest of the way on foot, Irene asks Burke why the church sends him on these tasks. He answers that the church reaches out to him when it needs an investigation into unusual Catholicism-related phenomenon. He says it's referred to unofficially as miracle hunting. Irene was under the impression that they're here due to the nun taking her own life, but Burke says that they are. That's just only part of it. His orders from the Vatican also include investigating whether the grounds are still holy.
This is an interesting conversation that probably would have taken place as they were traveling to Romania.
Absolutely.
But I
You're
guess
totally right.
We'll just put it here because we just sat in silence for a few hours. I'll ask him when we get there.
Right. Oh my God.
I'll ask him why I'm going to Romania. Once we're in Romania.
Once we're in there. And I mean, I guess there's not time to talk when you're teleporting. So that's not really their fault.
That is true. The fucking Stargate or whatever.
Yeah. But Frenchie tells him that he can give his opinion on that right now about whether the grounds are still holy. Tense music mounts as they enter the Abbey's property. Looking at the damage done to the building, Burke asks if it's a result of the war. Frenchie confirms this, citing the bombing raids. He says that he's heard stories of the ground shaking for days afterward. Now, this is a good line.
Yes.
I was looking, because I watched this twice, and when I went back, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's very good. He said he's tried to find out more information on the castle itself, but the village has no record of it. And when it's mentioned around locals, they only spit. Irene doesn't understand the custom, but Frenchie explains that it's meant to ward off evil.
So one thing I will say is I did look this up, and through various religions and various cultures, this is very common.
Yeah.
This practice. Often they say to spit 3 times to evoke the Holy Trinity. But I do want to say, as a positive towards the screenwriting, this sets up the end of the film.
It does.
Oh, okay.
You know what? You're absolutely right.
And it feels just like a throwaway.
Yeah, it does.
So I'll give it that.
All right. Okay.
I
Like you're doing too much.
Yeah. No, I don't like it.
Yeah, calm down.
I like what the device that they're using.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the actual end, I'm not
Well,
a fan.
yeah. We'll get there. But they walk through a field of handmade crosses as they approach, and Frenchie dismisses it all as silly superstition before confiding that he thinks these crosses keep the evil in instead of out.
I do want to say again, when we're talking about the production design and the way that this film is shot, this cemetery is outside of Bethlehem Castle in Romania.
Oh,
okay.
So it's shot in a completely separate area from Corvin Castle.
Yeah.
But we're approaching Corvin Castle. It's just very well cut together.
Yeah. It is.
Because I never would have guessed this wasn't the same property.
No.
Yeah. And I did read that all of these crosses are like repurposed and reused later. Because there's a lot of crosses in this and they just like recycled them, which I thought was pretty cool and smart.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But they cross a small bridge and Burke asks if he tried to contact anyone inside when he found the nun. Frenchie says that he did, but no one answered him. He says, though, that in the 2 years that he's delivered the supplies, she was the first nun that he had ever seen. Crows continue to stand guard outside of the Abbey, and Burke asks what Frenchie did when he found her. He says that he moved her to the ice house where he leaves the deliveries to protect her from the elements. He leads them to the ice house, explaining his reasoning that he thought moving her here would help preserve her. Hesitantly, he opens the door and invites Burke to go first. In French, Burke only insists, after you.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, you go. I'll follow your lead.
But that's kind of wild, right?
No.
I mean,
You
for
put
Dirty
it-
Harry.
That's true.
He put her in the fridge. You know where you're going. I'll follow your lead.
I suppose.
But he's supposed to be a badass.
Yeah.
Hey, you put her in the fridge.
But fair enough.
Take
but
me.
in his defense, he tells Frenchie after you, and Frenchie does lead them inside. But when we cut to them descending the stairs of the ice house, Father Burke is in front.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I noticed that too, and I was like, well, he's in the front anyway. When did
was.
this happen?
Wait, so halfway down the stairs, he's like, one side, Red.
And it doesn't even look like it looks like that's the order they came in. Him, Frenchie,
Yes, and then Irene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
I was like, wait a goddamn minute. But there, shrouded in the darkness, broken only by Frenchie's lantern, sitting up with her head bowed, is the corpse of Sister Victoria. Burke starts to approach her, but Frenchie grabs his arm to stop him. He says that he needs to tell him one more thing. That's not how he left her.
Okay. I have a huge problem with this.
Yeah.
Because personally, look, if we are rocking up into this ice house and this corpse is not how I left this
Thank
corpse.
you.
Yeah.
The moment we walk in, I'd be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
like,
I'm, I'm throwing up on everyone's feet.
Yeah, I'm not waiting in. I'm like, oh yeah, this is, oh, by the way, one more thing I should tell you.
Yeah.
What are you, Columbo?
It is-
And one more thing.
Wow.
I didn't leave her like that.
Yeah.
My wife says I didn't leave her like that.
But confused, as if there's any other way to interpret this, Burke asks what he means. And Frenchie reiterates, his eyes wide. He left her lying down, not sitting up. I did when we see her, I'm like, that looks really creepy.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would he put her like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly. He's like, and that goes there.
Yeah. Like, this is very strange. Burke approaches anyway and peers into the nun's frosty face. He asserts that there have been instances of bodies twitching or sitting up not long after they die.
All
now,
right.
Sitting up or sitting
Burke.
down?
twitching.
Twitching,
Okay.
yeah, rigor mortis.
Yeah.
Farting, burping. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Sitting the fuck up.
He's like,
making yourself comfortable.
there's been evidence of corpses making sandwiches,
Yeah.
doing the Charleston, sitting up, scaring the hell out of us, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all easily explained.
So anything that happens here tonight.
Right.
Yeah. But there were no dinosaurs. Okay. All right. But Frenchie questions who even knows how long she was dead before he found her. Burke only snaps that he's not helping, and Frenchie quickly apologizes. I was like, you're just trying to make yourself feel
Yeah.
better, which, okay, I get it. Standing behind Frenchie, Irene watches all of this quietly. Burke continues to inspect the nun's body before his eyes settle on something held tightly in her hand. Her finger cracks as Burke pries the object loose and reveals it to be a key. We've seen this
Yeah.
before.
Yes.
He turns it over in his hands and a door marked deliveries begins to rattle. Frenchie identifies it as the door the nuns use to get the supplies he drops off so they don't have to leave the castle. Burke suggests that they give Sister Victoria a proper burial. We cut to them outside, saying a prayer and crossing themselves over a freshly dug grave. At the next grave over, a bell suspended in front of the tombstone jingles lightly in the wind. Irene goes over to look at it, and Burke explains that it's from fear of people being buried alive. If that happened to you, you could just ring the bell and let everyone know that they had made a mistake. Frenchie chimes in again that this being here is a mistake. The bell rings again, and Frenchie looks worried before pushing the shovel back into the dirt.
I don't know why. I obviously, the way that this is set up, that it's going to become a scare later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I am just so underwhelmed by how they use this later.
Yeah, here's the thing. And I because things start happening pretty quickly after a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel, and I felt this way rewatching it. The beats are being hit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like when Bart sold his soul and he was watching Itchy and Scratchy and he's like, I know that this is funny, but I'm not laughing.
Yeah.
This should be, it's all the boxes are checked.
Mm-hmm.
I need, because I'm a little freaked out right now. I know we literally referenced that on Cat's Eye.
Yeah.
But I literally, when I was driving here today, I had that exact thought.
Because it's what it, to me, that's what, obviously does.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a very just weird situation because it's like, I think I referred to it when we were talking earlier as a paint by numbers thing,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, I don't know. You did it. Well, I love paint by numbers, by the way. But there's something not right. It's again, happy birthday, Reen.
Yeah.
There's something missing from it where it's like, I know that I should be feeling scared. I should be, this should be awesome. It's just not.
Do you know what I think it is?
Mm.
And I say this every single time on these Conjuring spinoffs. It has James Wan's fingerprint, but it doesn't have James Wan.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he sets up scares the exact same way, where we see an innocuous item that means nothing to us right now.
Yeah.
And then eventually will scare the shit out of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for some reason, the execution is just not lining up.
It's just
Okay.
it's just not effective because even watching it, it's like, what's wrong? What's missing? Why is this not hitting? Because for me, it's just not.
Could it be that we don't have enough background on these characters? I
Oh.
know they
To
do.
care?
Yeah. I know they do give us a little, but it's very minimum.
Mm-hmm. And
So the whole time, that's all we're running off of is what we've heard from them or from them talking to somebody else, and then that's it.
Yeah, it's like they fed the Conjuring movies into an AI and told it
Yeah.
to write a movie. It's like, no, this is right, but the touch is the heart isn't there. I don't know.
No, well, we said we didn't feel anything.
Yeah.
AI is bullshit, by the way.
Well, you know what I mean.
I know, no. I just want to put it out there. Podmortem does not.
No, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But Frenchie leads them to the front doors where he found the body. Blood still stains the steps and the rope still dangles down from the window. As Father Burke looks up at it, the outline of a nun watches him from another window and quickly walks away before he can get a good look at her. The tense score continues as Father Burke walks up the steps, removes his hat, and sets his suitcase down. He crosses himself before dipping his fingers into the blood. When still wet blood comes away on his hand, Irene asks how this is possible when it's been weeks since it was spilled. Frenchie tells them again that he told them this place is the opposite of a miracle. The bad miracle?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, hold on.
Yeah.
He asks Burke what that is, and Burke ignores him. He gathers his things and climbs the rest of the stairs to the front door.
It's funny because they didn't have an answer for it. Nope, either.
We do not know.
Yeah. We've been asking for like 5 years now.
He heads inside and Irene follows him, crossing herself before she crosses the threshold. Hesitant, Frenchie follows behind them, but he turns his head to spit before he does. Inside, it is still and quiet, with candles lighting the room. The group walks past sealed tombs before coming to a throne-like chair with its back to them. In the stone of the chair, an Ouroboros is carved. Interesting. I did want to point out the tombs that they pass have faces carved into them. They're the death masks. And the ones carved into the tombs were the faces of Gary Doberman, Corin Hardy, Maxime Alexandre, the cinematographer, and an executive producer, Michael Clear, which I just thought was pretty, that's hilarious.
That's
cool.
really cool. Since you brought up Maxime Alexandre, I did want to talk about his work because we spoke about him on Annabelle Creation. I believe he was the cinematographer.
Okay.
Oh.
But he was also the cinematographer on Maniac.
All right.
Ooh.
And several episodes of Bly Manor.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So this dude...
That's all you got to say.
Yeah. I'll cry right now.
But Irene continues forward past the chair. We see over her shoulder, though, that there's a dark figure set within the chair. Irene senses this and turns around toward it. She calls hello to the figure, but they say nothing in return. Irene apologizes on everyone's behalf for arriving unannounced, and the figure still says nothing. But when Irene calls out, hello, she finally speaks. The abbess, played by Gabrielle Downey, swathed in black and motionless, asks what they want. Burke steps in, introducing himself as Father Anthony Burke and Irene as Sister Irene. He asks if she is the Reverend Mother, and the abbess confirms that she is, before exposing that Irene has not taken her vows yet. She's like, God damn.
Yeah.
Fucking bringing
We
this up.
know.
Yeah.
Irene admits that this is true, and Burke tries to speak, but the abbess interrupts and asks why he is here. Burke explains that they've come from Rome to inquire about the recent death here. The abbess asks, recent death? Frenchie reminds her that it was one of her nuns and that she was found outside, hanged by her neck. The abbess switches to French seamlessly, asking Frenchie, is that so? And you saw fit to bury her? Burke turns to Frenchie, who has been struck wordless, and asks that he give them a moment. Frenchie heads to the door without another word.
Oh, yeah. Peace.
Yeah.
We got to go. You're not staying with him, right? Let's go. Yeah.
You got to threaten me with a good time.
Fuck that.
Oh, no.
As he makes his exit, the abbess advises Burke to leave with him. Burke asks if she wasn't aware of the nun's death and insists that they are just concerned about her cloister's well-being. He asks to speak with the sisters to offer his assurances on behalf of the church. Still nothing more than a dark figure beneath her black veil, the abbess insists that she can offer his assurance. Burke tells her that that won't be enough. In that case, they will only send more church officials that may not be as diplomatic. The abbess agrees with this, but says that the gate is closing soon because they're about to take their vespers. After that, it's the great silence that continues until mid-morning. How convenient.
Yeah.
She's like, nobody can, you can talk, but they're not going to talk back. She tells them to come back tomorrow to find the answers that he seeks. She offers them to stay at the lodging in the convent. Burke shares a nervous glance with Irene before thanking the abbess and leaving.
I just want to say, and this might sound hyperbolic, but this is when all three of these characters lost every ounce of credibility with me. Because name one fucking part of this meeting that was normal. Just one. I'm asking just one part of this meeting that seemed like a normal meeting with the Reverend Mother
Yeah, no.
of a convent.
What, the Emperor Palpatine?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you're evil. No.
Clearly.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm the most experienced, but none of this happened in Sister Act.
That's my only reference.
None of this shit at all.
I just, look, there's a lot of customs that I don't understand
Right.
as a non-religious person, but I sincerely doubt that the Reverend Mother is draped like a fucking phantom.
Yeah. She doesn't get up. Nothing.
No, not at all.
Speaking, tell me you're like, no. No.
That's what I'm saying.
Scared?
Yeah.
She's like, the hate. Yeah. What?
What the
Yeah.
hell? Is that Darth Vader? Mom?
Yeah.
But I seriously, and I think this is what really upset me, is there comes a point later where certain things are questionable regarding reality.
Yeah.
I don't want to give anything away, but at no point during that time is a fucking phantom talking to you.
Yeah.
So couldn't this have just been the Reverend Mother?
Yeah.
Like, it's so weird.
You didn't need to. Or you should have picked one or the other.
Yeah.
Yes.
We should be depicted this way or we should be depicted this way.
Yeah, but the way they're acting is like, oh, every convent has a
That's scary.
has a scary ass phantom that leads everything. They all answer to the phantom. Hello, Reverend Phantom. We're looking for your nuns.
Yeah.
Everyone does that. But Irene, Burke, and Frenchie enter a chapel, and Frenchie asks why they weren't able to speak with the nuns now. Why does it need to wait until morning?
You saying mourning, actually, okay. If the Reverend Mother had said she was in mourning, that could explain.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you're right.
she didn't even claim to know about it.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't work.
She's like, what death?
yeah.
What? Irene informs him that the sisters take a vow of silence between sunset and sunrise, and it needs to be respected. Burke tells Frenchie to just head back. He says he knows he doesn't want to be on the roads at night. Staring up at a giant crucifix at the end of the room, Frenchie tells him that the roads are better than here. Burke only tells him to come back in a few days because they'll be fine here, and that'll be enough time for them to get what they need. Frenchie agrees and takes one last look at Irene before he leaves. On the trail back to his horse, Frenchie holds his lantern out against the darkness. He continues making his way until he sees an outline of a nun amongst the trees in the fog.
I do want to say this whole set design situation, potentially an actual location, looks brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
The fog, the way that it's lit, the silhouettes of the stones.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Oh, yeah. That's scary shit.
He stares at her without saying anything, but when she turns around and walks away in slow motion, he calls out to her. He heads in that direction, still holding the lantern out in front of him, but when he gets to where she was, she crosses the street in front of him. He looks down in horror to see that dragging behind her in the dried leaves is a piece of rope tied into a noose.
He should have known when she was walking in slow motion.
Yeah.
You know, that should have been a tip-off.
Why'd you
Definitely.
follow her?
Yeah.
We're going the other way.
Yeah, go home.
He's like,
Yeah.
speed up. Frenchie calls out to her again, louder this time, and follows her. He is now in the fog-choked graveyard of the Abbey. He breathes heavily as he turns, swinging his lantern in a circle in search of the nun. But when he finally stops, we get a musical sting when her legs drop into view as she is hung by her neck from the tree in front of him. Startled, Frenchie cries out and falls flat on his back. We see the nun hanging and hear the crack of the branch before she drops right on top of him. Her face distorted and covered in blood, this monstrous version of Sister Victoria growls at him. Frenchie screams and is able to wrench himself free. He runs blindly through the crosses of the graveyard, tripping back onto the ground. The growling stops, and when he turns back behind him, a figure stands amongst the crosses. But when he looks around again, the figure is gone. He is only surrounded by crosses and fog and the low rumblings of something horrible. Frenchie pulls up a cross from the ground and holds it against his body as he runs away from the graveyard. Now, that was a lot, Robin.
Yeah.
I think the reason why I don't really care for this very much is because I think we can get enough with have her be ghoulish the way that Frenchie found her.
Yeah.
We already have a demon nun.
Yeah.
We don't need two.
It was the growling and the snarling. I was like, God.
Yeah, and he was crawling on the floor for a minute. I was like, get up and run, dude. What the fuck?
He's like, well, you calm down.
Back at the lodging, Irene plays the radio and looks at a framed photo of nuns on the wall. This is the picture from creation, right?
Yeah.
So, and that was the other thing is that I like these subtle nods,
Oh, yeah.
but there is There is no inkling of the nun from creation ever having set foot here.
Yeah.
No, because we established that that's not what this is.
Yeah.
She sits down to a meal with Father Burke and asks him about the miracle hunting that he'd referred to earlier. She asks if that's something he sought out to do. He looks up from his crossword and quickly says no. He says that he's one of the very few that the church relies on to investigate their more unusual matters. Irene asks him if he knows Bishop Thorne then. Burke is taken aback that she knows him, but Irene explains that he helped her when she was younger. She says that she used to have visions when she was younger, and that her father thought she was either mentally unstable or a liar. Thanks, Dad.
Appreciate your support.
Yeah.
During this trying time.
When word of the visions reached the church and Cardinal Conroy, he sent Bishop Thorne to meet with her. Burke asks what her visions were, and with a sigh, Irene tells him that there were many and they never repeated. But after the end of all of them, the same thought was stuck in her head. After Burke asks what the thought was, Irene tells him, Mary points the way.
The lady with the lamb?
Yeah,
with the lamb,
she knows what's up. T just rolled his eyes so hard.
I'm sorry, dude. This is so contrived. I strongly dislike this.
Well,
Like, I think my thing is I like when things are set up in a script where I don't know it's going to become a very important thing later.
yeah. No, this was like
This
rolling the red carpet out for a moment later.
And for me, I think the reason is because this is not a phrase that you hear often.
Yeah.
And so it's not as if it's just, it's just so goddamn specific. it irks me. It irks me.
It is. I think the only way that it wouldn't, because for me, it doesn't bother me here. It bothers me later. But
yes. Yes.
So I feel like maybe if because this does sound like something that someone of faith would say, you know,
Yeah.
oh, well, they're always going to point me in the right direction, whatever. But maybe if it seems like a throwaway line, not like in bold.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like it's in italics when she's saying it.
And it is.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, okay.
Well, she sets it up and then he has to ask for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it is punctuated.
Yeah.
This line is important.
Yeah.
Remember this line.
But Burke takes a drink, although he looks clearly disturbed. After Irene asks, he tells her that he was thinking of a similar incident in France. Now, I don't know if Father Burke knows the meaning of the word similar.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck he's
She's like, this has nothing to do with my story.
No, not at all.
what the
Like,
fuck he's talking
You
about.
know what it is? It's when somebody's just waiting for their turn to talk.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're like, that reminds me of the time that has nothing to do with what you just said.
Yeah, let me tell you what I think about this stuff. And y'all were talking about how much you don't like the Mary Points the Way. I don't like this.
Okay.
I
No.
think this and everything subsequently that involves it, you pluck it out of the movie, nothing changes. This added nothing for me. Either don't do it at all or do it and add like some inner turmoil within him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's mad at the church. Maybe he's got one foot in and one foot out. Maybe there's guilt or anything. Like this leads to nothing for me.
Yeah, but then we do that. We're gonna be like, oh, well, this is just like Exorcist one.
Sexorcist.
Yeah, wrong movie.
What the
Right, wrong
fuck?
podcast. Right. Hello, everybody. We're Paul Mortem.
That was a little...
Not Sex Mortem. I'm sorry.
That was very Freudian. I don't know what just happened.
But you know what I'm trying to say, man.
Just always on the fucking brain. Jesus Christ.
Well-
he's gross. No, I'm just kidding.
He said, what the fuck?
No, and I get what you're saying. I think my thing as well that could fit in with it is whenever he goes to meet them at the Vatican earlier.
Yeah.
He is conflicted, but he literally goes in there and he's like, hello, Cardinal.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
feeling of anything that happened to him.
Yeah.
Any kind of that turmoil.
Yeah, I mean, he has the moment of, I'm sure there's something you're not telling me because I'm in the Vatican. Like,
Yeah.
But then he goes right back to, you got a boss. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, it's just this, it's weird. It's weird. And I feel like this is like kind of cheap. because
Okay.
you're using it later for, a couple jump scares or whatever, but it's like it means nothing. It's very hollow. It's just empty.
Well, give him almost a complex of where he has to save people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything that could result
Yeah, that works.
in him being changed from this.
Yeah.
Or, and I guess the fact that he's bringing it up and whatever happens later, it means he is carrying guilt, whatever. I understand that. It's just...
You're so over it.
Yeah.
It's not enough for me. It's just this feels tacked on. It just does.
It does, and you're right, because I didn't think about that until we did. When we were talking before we started recording, and if we just took it out, maybe added a little more depth to these characters, or maybe something else that happened.
Yeah.
Like you said, T, if he's got that complex now, show him struggling, trying to always, and the church being like, look, you can't save everybody, dude.
Yeah.
And him just like, no, I have to. You know what I mean?
It would give him more depth.
Yeah.
It's funny because every single time we raise a complaint like this, you always come back to this point. Character depth.
Yeah.
Because if we go back to The Conjuring, the mainline series, we have a lot of time with these families before shit goes wild.
Yeah.
We kind of learn who they are, learn their dynamics, and then we obviously already love Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Yeah.
The film characters.
Yes, yeah.
The film characters. So that connection helps to make these things inspire feelings.
Yeah.
But the fact that we don't get any of that, and it's going to keep coming up if we knew more about them,
Yeah.
if we had a reason to like them more.
Again, this boy that we're about to meet, this is all he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Emily Rose, we knew her as a person. This is just like, oh yeah, and I met this fucking kid one time. He was going. It's just like I know nothing. I don't. I know it sounds fucked up, but I don't care.
I mean,
yeah. Well, we don't know this story. It's not familiar to us. You're just telling us like the bad part, and that's it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Literally.
I didn't even know this kid outside of this horror.
Yeah, that's it.
But as Burke tells us the story, we see it in a flashback. He says that he was stationed there in the war near Lyon. We see him open a door as he pours himself a drink in present day. He says that he was sent to investigate a boy with a vision, and in the flashback, Father Burke enters a barn and walks past a mound of hay to find the boy tied up by the arms between two posts. I guess that's the connection between her story and his story. Is, this boy also had visions. Now let me tell you something fucked up.
Yeah.
My only note was this is wholly unrelated to Sister Irene's story.
Yeah.
But okay,
It just because it also involves a child.
with visions.
That's these connections are tertiary at best.
In present day, Burke explains that unlike Irene, after a careful evaluation, they surmised that the boy was possessed. And so he's like, this is a similar story. Actually, it's nothing like you.
The exact opposite of you.
We thought that the battery died in his tablet because he wouldn't shut up.
Yeah.
No, he's possessed. He's fucking possessed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It was one or the other.
It was one of the two. Irene hangs on his every word as Burke says that he acted well within the laws of the church. Now, when you say that, you know something horrible is happening.
And it puts you in the mind of Emily Rose.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In the flashback, he holds a lantern in front of him, calling the boy's name in awe and sadness as he approaches. He asks what they've done to him, and as he comes closer, the boy snarls at him. Burke hangs his lantern. In present day, Irene asks him if the procedure was successful, and Burke says that the church thought it was. They thought the evil was cast out, but Irene can tell by the way he says it that he doesn't agree, so she tells him this.
During this flashback, all I was thinking is, where's the boy's family?
Yeah.
Literally.
Where is anybody but Father Burke?
Yeah. Because who sent you to do this?
Yeah, and he doesn't
Nobody's
even have
here.
anybody with him.
Yeah.
Back in the barn on that awful day, Burke prays over Daniel, conducting his exorcism. Things around them begin to fall and move on their own. But the boy, Daniel, credited to both August Maturo and Jack Falk, begs Father Burke to help him.
I expected twins when you did that.
Yeah, I think one maybe plays him now and one maybe plays him later.
Oh,
But it's the exact same credit for both. So.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Burke goes hard, screaming his prayers and thrusting his cross at the boy. Daniel screams as his eyes roll to white and his face distorts. He asks Father Burke why he won't help him. After seeing Irene's troubled face, we see horror cross Father Burke's in the barn. In present day, Burke admits that Daniel sustained injuries during the exorcism that he couldn't recover from. Back in the barn, Burke cradles his pale body and tells him that he is so sorry. Now, Burke drowns his drink in one swallow and sets down his glass before telling Irene that Daniel died days later. Irene lowers her eyes but doesn't have a word to offer. Burke admits that he always wonders if he was too eager with his determination. He says that that's the puzzle. Irene watches him silently as he picks up his jacket and leaves the room.
So his line of "that's the puzzle," is that the connection to the crosswords that he does all the time? If this is his theme?
I guess.
What?
I'm trying, man.
Because I think one of them says it again later, no?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
But what do you mean you were too aggressive in your...
Yeah.
What the fuck?
See, and that to me, that line for me leads to an Emily Rose situation.
Yeah.
Or maybe he left and he is being pulled out of retirement for this. I think that makes better.
That would be very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's not what we're given.
No.
No.
He's like, I was just at work yesterday.
Yeah.
And you need me to go to Romania, you said?
Huh.
Interesting. I'm not affected by anything that happened. To me.
That was a normal day.
Yeah, my past is fine. It's clean. It's clean.
Later that night, both outside and inside are silent. With no warning or assistance, the radio suddenly comes to life and begins playing jazz. Burke, who fell asleep fully clothed while reading, is woken up by the music and goes to investigate. He takes his flashlight with him, but the second the beam falls upon the radio, it goes silent. Something clatters in the next room, but when he peeks inside, Irene is quietly sleeping in the bed. When he swings the flashlight back behind him, someone runs past the doorway, their feet loudly smacking on the floor as they go.
First of all, two things made me laugh in this sequence.
Mm-hmm.
First thing is that the radio stopped as if it got caught doing something.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was asleep.
Oh, God. Sorry. And the second thing is literally, it's like, oh, no, the boy from that story I just told.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Like, come on.
last thing we saw and talked about.
Yeah. I think it would have been more effective to wait a little while.
Absolutely.
Maybe, yeah.
Bert goes outside, following the figure through line after line of white clothes suspended from clotheslines. He can see the person running in front of him, but when he finally makes it to the end, there is no one there. He stands, still looking at the area with his flashlight, until someone behind him whispers, "Father?" and taps him on the shoulder. Bert turns, but again, there's no one there.
No. I'm not chasing some ghost kid in this fucking big monastery or whatever the fuck castle, and then it's like, oh, I'll be damned. There is no way.
Yeah.
I could have sworn I felt a tap on my shoulder.
Even if it was
and heard someone whisper in my ear.
Yeah, even if it was the child that I felled or not, there's fuck that. It's a ghost kid. No.
Yeah.
And can't we talk about the fact that this is what he does for a living? It's his entire gig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, what?
Yeah.
You're right, dude.
Yeah.
What is this?
Was
It's
that
like-
a ghost?
Yeah.
It's like, I thought,
This is your 9 to 5.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right, you got a Ghostbusters patch on and everything. What the fuck?
The footsteps continue, but Burke sees him in the distance. A boy that just runs off again. Burke follows him, making his way to the field of crosses marking the graveyard. It's silent until he hears a twig snap behind him and sees someone peeking at him from around a tree. Someone whispers again, "Father," and Burke finally catches the boy in the beam of his flashlight. It's Daniel.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise.
And why does he get a flashlight, but Frenchie got a damn lantern that he could barely see a foot in front of him earlier?
You're right.
Say, go home. You can take the roads at night.
You're right.
Take that lantern, though.
Yeah. We need
pretty
this here.
Yeah. I was like, holy shit, dude.
I'm probably going to need this later. I'm telling a real scary story. Burke whispers the boy's name, but Daniel immediately begins to gag. His body heaves as he throws up a long snake. It hits the ground and immediately comes for Burke, who screams and falls backward, right into an open grave.
So I just want to say before we talk about everything else that's about to happen.
Yeah.
The snake bit, the shot, the silhouette of the boy.
Yeah.
That was really effective.
Yeah.
I like that a
That's
lot.
the thing, man, is I'm like, again, what's wrong? That I'm not, like, what is going on? But he only has time to scream before the waiting casket slams closed. We pan up the tombstone, which reads, "Here lies Father Anthony Burke."
Cool,
which
cool.
I felt that was petty as well.
I literally just wrote groan. Because that gravestone, he never saw the gravestone. That was for us.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it would have been better if it was like a Lonely Grave of Paula Schultz situation.
Yeah.
Where it's unrelated. It's just a person who died here.
Well, because
Yeah.
anybody looking through the graveyard would be like, Father
What the
Burke.
hell? Yeah, and then there comes a point with all of this that I'm like, how much of this is real?
Yeah.
How much of this is actually happening?
Yeah.
Because it makes
a lot.
no, like, even in the realm of demons,
Right.
what part of this is real? Because we need to, I think that's one thing that I appreciate with a lot of horror villains. We set up rules to determine what they can and cannot do.
Yeah.
Oh,
If-
yeah, that's not.
Yeah, because if we're living in a situation where your entire reality can be just fucking thrown out the window,
Yeah.
and we can have an object on the ground that that is supposed to be really important but does fucking nothing.
Yeah.
How do we win? How do we even, when we don't even know the parameters that we're dealing with?
Right.
You don't.
Because this burial,
Yeah.
that's wild.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Too much.
Yeah.
But the bell in front of the stone rings frantically, which I love that he had the wherewithal to be like,
Someone's in here.
Back in her room, Irene wakes up. She lights a lantern and steps out. She turns to a window, startled by the howling of the wind outside. And when the camera pans back to her, we see the outline of a nun in the room she just came from. Irene continues through the house, someone moving behind her as she sees that Father Burke is gone. She heads outside, and suddenly we are in the casket with Father Burke as he desperately screams for help. Back outside with Irene, we don't hear his screams, but we do hear low and haunting chanting. Irene goes into the chapel with the giant crucifix where she was with Burke and Frenchie, but now it is lit with candles and the pews are full of nuns with their heads bowed. A giant shadow of a nun rises up on the wall in front of her, darkening the crucifix, and Irene watches as the shadow turns and begins to walk off.
Greatest hits. I love when they play the classics.
Yeah. As the shadow gets closer and closer to Irene, it gets smaller. Irene turns to the huge mirror behind her and sees that the nun has materialized and stands behind her back. Irene turns quickly, but not only is the shadow nun gone, so are the candles and the chanting nuns. The chapel is dark and empty, but then there are candles lit around the crucifix. In the mirror behind her, all of the nuns stand with Valak presiding in front of them. With a growl, opening her mouth to expose her razor-sharp teeth, Valak reaches through the mirror and clamps her hand down on Irene's shoulder. The mirror explodes, shards of glass flying out at Irene as the giant crucifix comes crashing down behind her. Irene runs back outside.
So I just had a couple points here. The first, if seeing Valak the demon nun surrounded by a ton of other nuns isn't a clue, but we'll just pretend we didn't see that, I guess, Sister Irene. All right. But the other thing I had was more on the technical side, not the nitpicky side.
Yeah.
The nun as a character, they did change the makeup for a little bit for this film.
Okay.
I saw an interview with the makeup artist, Eleanor Sabadukwa. She was talking about, first of all, she works on a lot of James Wan films, produced and directed.
Okay.
And she also worked on Nope.
Oh, nice.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
But she was talking about how they wanted to go for a different look for Valak this time around. Instead of it being this ghostly white figure, it is more of a pale dead figure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so you see slight tweaks. There's, instead of just the pale face makeup, you see more work with veins,
Yeah.
red and blue, and you see a bit more realism, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a different take. I really think that both demon nuns look great.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I appreciate it completely. And I do have to say, just, of course, Bonnie Aarons is fantastic as Valak.
Yeah.
And Corin Hardy even said that there was no question, obviously, they were bringing her back to play.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
He said for him, it was almost like when you look at A Nightmare on Elm Street versus other horror franchises, where it's Robert Englund's performance that makes Freddy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He said it's Bonnie Aarons that makes the nun. You can't.
Oh, yeah.
No, definitely. And she looks great in this. I think she looks really good and scary. I like this sequence with the shadow and everything. I think that it's very good. It's
Yeah.
really creepy. It bothers me that we leave here and we run outside and this never happened.
Oh, yeah. You don't
Yeah.
talk about it.
How are you not? I mean, I'm fucked up. Like, I'm gone.
Yeah.
I'm useless for the rest of whatever the fuck this is.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that again, like you said, T, what you just saw in the mirror, we're not going to apply that to anything moving forward.
No.
Like, it never happened.
That sucks too, because I also thought that this was really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this whole thing coming out of the mirror and whatever.
Yes.
But yeah, it's never used again, and that was it. And I feel like if you're gonna do that, you could have used other mirrors in the damn movie as teleportation, the way she's getting around, or anything.
Well, because
anything
then that would establish some set of rules, and we're not doing that here. That's not what we're here for. I think that's what makes this movie more difficult than what I thought going into it, is you do have these moments where you're like, well, damn, I liked that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
I did wonder as well because I had read that James Wan had, and it was incorrect, that James Wan had directed some sequences. I thought this would be the one that James
absolutely.
Wan.
Yeah.
It feels so much like The Conjuring 2.
Yeah.
But I read in Entertainment Weekly that what happened was Hardy was talking about the time and the budget, and he was saying that we need a second unit to direct some of these shots of atmospherics around the convent.
Okay.
And so James Wan was like, oh, I'll do that.
Oh, that's cool.
And so that's what he directed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it isn't like Annabelle, where he directed the entire elevator scene
Okay.
or the storage.
I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
With the best part of the fucking film.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's why I again am so confused, because this sequence in the middle of the other sequence that I don't like,
Yeah.
it just feels so weird.
It does.
And I want to be clear. I don't want to speak for everybody, so please correct me if y'all don't agree. But the issues that I have with this, I don't think it's Corin Hardy at all.
No.
Yeah.
I saw an interview with him where he had said that when this kind of landed in his lap, he didn't need to do any research. He didn't need to look back because he'd already seen all the Conjuring films. He already knew who Valak was. Like, he wanted to make something that felt like it belonged in the franchise. And I feel like he did the best he could with what he had.
Yeah.
So it's just like, for me, it's the story.
Yeah, and he said straight up in an interview that I read that he didn't change much of anything from the script.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had all the jump scares built into the script.
Oh.
And so I'm like, maybe that's where the
Yeah.
issue.
It's a heavy script. But in the casket, Burke is fighting hard against the lid and continuing to ring the bell over and over. He screams for Irene, and she's finally able to hear the bell. Calling out for Burke, she runs to the graveyard.
So this, again, made no sense to me. She hears a bell ringing like they heard before, and she's like, Father Burke?
Yeah.
How do you know?
Yeah.
How could you possibly
Why
know?
would you think that?
Yeah.
Like,
Why would you?
there's no, like, I understand if she goes towards the graves and she hears him screaming.
Yeah.
Then says Father Burke.
Yeah.
But don't hear a bell.
I'm sorry.
He carries a bell around.
Yeah.
He's a cat.
I hear
Father
that,
Burke is a cat.
I hear that bell. I'm going right the fuck back inside.
Yeah, dude.
That is not the way to get me to save
No.
you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry.
No, we're going to wake up lonely.
Yeah, especially after what you told me this morning.
Yes.
There's no way.
After what I just experienced.
Absolutely not. No.
See, and even and I know that this happened in Puppet Master. Even they had visions that we seen.
Yeah.
Let us have a vision. Maybe you get a glimpse of him.
Of him.
Yeah.
You know, kind of blurry, slow motion, him struggling in the thing, and you're like, oh, like it's hitting you like a headache or something.
Yes.
Well, we saw all of Lorraine's visions in the other Conjuring films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
God damn it. But she finally finds a desperately ringing bell. Suddenly, though, one by one, the bell on every single tombstone begins to shake and ring. Irene closes her eyes and vibes, finally in her mind, envisioning the grave where Father Burke is trapped. Okay, now this is another issue.
pump the brakes for a second.
We can just stick a bookmark right here.
This trip has a lot of stops.
Yeah.
I feel like we've been going through this one scene for like 5 hours.
The anatomy of a scene. We're picking it apart.
So just like you said, how it would have, her vision, it could have been utilized here to get her to the graveyard to help him.
Yeah.
We're wasting it on her seeing a tombstone that literally has his fucking name on it.
Yeah.
That she could have seen with her eyeballs.
Yeah.
I could have done that.
And
shit.
any of us could have walked there and been like, "Oh shit!"
I think he's
right here.
I think here lies Father.
Yeah. No shit.
When we could have used it to get her here because she has no other reason to come here, and something happens later where it could have been utilized in a really cool way, and it's just like, oh no.
Yeah.
But we'll get there. Her visions are an issue for me because I could be wrong, but this is kind of it, right?
Yeah, I don't really recall any
in
other...
terms of her like Professor Xing and like being, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't really think... maybe once more?
Maybe.
When they're in a certain tunnel?
Maybe?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe.
If we want to count that.
Yeah, but I really don't because even then, she doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
It's just wild. It's wild, man.
But Irene runs over to the grave and lowers her ear to the ground. It has been filled in now, but when she calls out to him, she hears his muffled reply. In the casket, Burke thanks God as Irene runs to get a shovel. He uses his lighter to illuminate the inside of the box as Irene frantically digs him up.
I just have one question. Why?
Yeah.
Fire eats your oxygen.
Oh, yeah. No,
And-
but he's like, now that I'm being rescued, let's check out the view.
What's going on this side? It's like, really, dude? You've only been down here for how long? Screaming and ringing this bell?
Yeah, it couldn't have been that long.
And can I ask you guys, were you both surprised as I was that this grave was filled in?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a surprise, honestly. It was like, damn, and it didn't look like the ground had been disturbed at all.
No, that's why I'm just so confused. And it was made for him, apparently.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just don't know, man. I don't know.
It was also surprising to me that Irene is able to snap into action and dig a fucking 6-foot hole.
Yeah.
And like,
She might be in the wrong field because we can use people that can dig graves in 30 seconds.
yeah, that's why she hasn't taken her
That
vows
was
yet.
quick.
Like, I might be a grave digger, dude.
I'm a natural at it.
Yeah.
But Burke hears scratching, although he doesn't see anything inside with him. Finally, just as the shovel hits the top of the casket, hands reach up from behind Father Burke's head and grab his face. He screams for Irene to hurry. We get flashes of an angry and demonic face, but when Irene slams the shovel down and it breaks through the lid, nearly getting Burke in the face, he is alone.
Do you remember the subliminal demon faces in
The Exorcist?
Yeah, the version
Yeah.
you've never seen before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They reminded me a lot of that.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
We were talking off mic about how this part was pretty effective.
Yeah.
As compared to what?
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like,
And why would you try to bust open that casket by the face?
Yeah, it's a great
by
question.
the face.
Yeah.
We all know what part is what.
Yeah, no shit.
It's like, well, he probably fell in here upside down. As you do.
As one does. But he breaks the lid, pushing it off of himself. And when he sees Irene's frightened face, he thanks her. He climbs out, and Irene asks how he got in there when the ground was covered. But Burke explains that there is a powerful evil in this place. He looks down at the inside of the casket that was empty just a moment ago, but now contains a skeleton and several books. He proposes that they may find their answers in there. So now you're helping me?
Yeah, you just scared the shit out of me, dude. And then now you're giving me books?
You could have put them
don't-
in my bed or replaced the book that I was reading when I was asleep. If you're trying to help me, but this is not the way to do it.
No. And I want to say, as far as screenwriting is concerned, I have never seen Rise of Skywalker, Star Wars.
Right.
But there's a moment where they just decide not to explain anything away at all.
Yeah.
As to how something wild has happened. And it became a meme where he goes, somehow Palpatine returned. And that's how I feel with this grave being explained. He's like, I don't know, it's powerful.
It doesn't matter.
We'll get past it. There's some books here we should probably read right now. Let's go inside.
That's what I just didn't understand.
Yes.
Why would you bury him on top of something that could help him defeat you?
And he's in a grave.
Yeah.
He was in a grave the whole time with a skeleton and a bunch of books.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but he
Dad wasn't there.
No,
But
well, he saw
yeah.
it with the lighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude.
But why? It's the giving of the book, because it's like that is a friendly thing to do, but the
Yeah.
way you did it is not. So are you evil or what?
Yeah.
Unless it's like, I want him to know it was me. Like, no, learn about me, bitch. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Somehow
Yeah.
Palpatine returned.
The next morning, the blood on the steps is still shiny and wet when Father Burke and Irene come back to the Abbey. But now there's even more of it.
So you went to sleep,
Yeah.
showered,
Uh-huh.
got dressed,
Correct.
and came to the front door.
Yeah.
Do you see what happened last night?
Yeah. We're moving forward. This is where it's like, okay, you've come here to see if the ground is still holy. It's not.
No.
It's not. Trade the stories of what the fuck y'all saw last night and get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
We don't need to wait for Frenchie. He can meet us halfway because we're fucking walking.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
I
know
mean-
where his house is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything like when T was like, nobody has any credibility anymore. Nothing past this was a smart decision, a
Yeah.
right decision, and anything. We should not be fucking with this.
Well, and to JP's point, can you imagine experiencing all of that and you're like, ooh, I'll read these tomorrow.
I'm not sleeping.
That's crazy.
Something grabbed my face in a coffin where I'm supposed to be alone.
Yes.
But I'm going to take a nap.
Dude, Irene just dug a 6-foot grave in about a minute and a half. She's
deserves-
tired.
Yeah, you're not.
Yeah.
Well, you're not questioning that.
Somehow.
Irene, dressed in her white habit, asks how this is possible, but Burke says it's just another puzzle. He opens the door and they disappear inside. There's a huge gate blocking the way further in, so Burke calls out to the abbess. He tells her that as they agreed upon, he's here to talk to the nuns instead of saying, someone fucking buried me alive last night. Do you know anything about that?
You know, everybody really acts like it didn't happen. Nothing
That's
happened.
what I'm saying.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Without a word, the gate is raised. Burke tells Irene that that's as much of an invitation as they're going to get. Irene says that she'll go find the abbess, but before she can leave, Burke gives her the key that he found with Sister Victoria. He tells her to see what she can find out because it was clearly important to her. He stops her again to implore that she be careful, and Irene promises that she will before walking off.
Okay. Now, she's not formally a nun, right?
No.
She hasn't taken her vows.
Right.
You're the senior here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why are you giving her that key and telling her good luck?
He's not allowed to go in.
Oh, he can't.
It's cloistered, right? That's
Oh.
the term.
I believe.
So only the nuns can be in there. But I don't know if she
yeah, but she's
counts.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't.
That I don't know.
it's very
Our
like
Catholic friends tell us.
Yeah,
well, they treat it very sometimesy,
Yeah.
where it means certain things at certain times.
Yeah.
I don't know what any of it means.
But he's a priest. He's obviously been in the church for a long time. He's like, why wouldn't he be allowed
I can
to?
see why like Frenchie wouldn't be allowed.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't know because that confused me too. And then when I rewatched it, they were like, only, it's only them, da da da. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I guess that's why they split up. But I don't know because he still came inside.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't
that
know.
part is. I don't know
Okay.
if that's user error or I think that's more us than the movie.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll take a point from us.
Yeah. Oh, we've earned it. But she heads to a courtyard outside, and though a person watching her tries to too fast out of view, it's too late, and Irene sees them. She climbs the stairs, following their shadow, and walks down a long corridor before being led into another chapel. She crosses herself before going further inside, but she does, following the praying of someone kneeling in the front of the room. A bird flutters its wings loudly, and Irene calls out to the praying nun. The woman ignores Irene and continues to pray. Irene circles around, unable to see the nurse's face because of her habit, and starts to reach out to her, but someone grabs her arm to stop her. Sister Owana, played by Ingrid Bisou, pulls her away and tells her that they can't stop praying, not even for a second.
So we all remember Ingrid Bisou from *Malignant*.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She was also the co-writer of *Malignant*
Yes.
All right.
and James Wan's wife.
Yeah.
Nice. All right.
But she says they've had a constant vigil here for centuries, with the nuns praying in shifts. Irene quickly apologizes, but Owana says that Sister Ruth has withstood greater distraction than someone sneaking up behind her. She introduces herself and says that they were told she'd be coming. She tells her to come with her, and Irene follows instruction, leaving Sister Ruth, played by Sandra Tellis, alone to continue her prayers in Latin.
So there's something that I learned. I read an interview with Corin Hardy in The Flickering Myth.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I'm talking about with the production design versus the actual locations.
Yeah.
This perpetual adoration room is a set.
Oh,
Really?
wow.
Yes.
Okay.
And it seems so sprawling that it seems like it must have been a part of the building,
Yeah.
but it is a full-on set.
That is impressive.
Yeah.
And I did also want to call out the red light as she enters the room.
Yeah.
Giallo.
No,
No.
it's not, dude. Oh, I'm just getting weaker every time.
No. I just wanted to point out that starting from this scene onward, it feels like, to me, kind of like we've entered another movie.
Yeah.
This whole part, the vibe is very different to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I feel like it's misplaced. A lot of the scenes are out of place.
Yeah.
Because this honestly would have worked better at their arrival.
Yeah.
And then the shit that goes on later would have worked better later.
Mm-hmm.
Or before would have worked better later. What happened last night?
Yeah.
Because there's no way that I experienced this last night and I'm like, hey, we're here to see the nuns the next morning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
That's wild.
And
Or even
what-
bring it up.
Yeah.
And what we're about to see right now, it throws it out of whack more because this should have been that night.
Yes.
But this is the next day.
I don't know.
Yeah. We cut to Black Bear, a bar where Frenchie sits and drinks with his giant stolen cross propped up next to him. It looks like he went from the grave here. He's still holding the cross.
You're
Yeah.
right.
But this is the whole ass night has gone by and the next day.
So at 8 a.m, he's out drinking.
He's
Yeah.
been through it. In front of him, the bartender, Grigori, played by Tudor Montanu, looks forlorn. When Frenchie asks him about this, he's interrupted before Grigori can answer. The waitress, Marta, played by Lily Bourdon, interrupts to ask Grigori for another round, a round that she promised someone named Luca would be on the house. Frenchie notices someone covering a mirror, and when he asks about it, Marta explains that it's custom to do that when someone dies. You cover the mirror so the deceased doesn't see their reflection and become a ghost.
I just want to be a little nitpicky again Because when we talked earlier about Frenchie and being a traveler and seemingly arriving in this village, but then also having been here for 2 years, this is a question that Frenchie would ask if he hasn't been living here for 2 years.
Why is she doing that?
Yeah. And you have that as a form of exposition for the audience. You have somebody new to an area because we're also new to the area.
Yeah.
It would have worked way better if he had just gotten here.
Yeah. No, you're right. Frenchie, though, didn't realize that someone died, and Grigori explains that Luca's daughter died by suicide. Glancing over at the grieving father, Frenchie is in disbelief, remarking that she was just a child. Now, the man, presumably Luca, has his head bowed, but a lot of people have theorized, I was reading online because of his hat, that this is the Crooked Man.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Like it's a little tease?
I don't know. A tease or a nod at the very least. I don't know.
That's interesting.
The dad?
Yeah. Because we don't see him. His head's kind of down, but his hat is the hat that the Crooked Man
doesn't the Crooked Man in the song, doesn't he have a family or something?
I don't
I thought he had like a crooked wife and a crooked
Oh,
children. Crooked children.
one crooked children. I will say I feel robbed because I really enjoyed the Crooked Man. I thought he was fucking great, and there was supposed to be a movie, and I guess there's not now. But yeah.
I don't know if they. I'll be quiet. I was gonna say I don't know if they saw this and they're like, hold on, we
not
need that.
so fast, Crooked Man.
Let's pump our brakes on the Crooked Man.
But Grigori confirms that the child was only 12 and she hung herself in a barn. Frenchie is struck by these words, repeating, "Hanged herself?" He asks why, and Grigori is overcome. He asks why Addie Constantine's crops turned to dust. Why was little Stefan struck blind? It's all because of that place, the Abbey, the place where you found someone hanged like a couple days ago.
Yeah, and can we talk about the fact that they said that it keeps the evil in, but not, evil can enter the Abbey.
Yeah.
But they never said anything. They literally said the crosses are designed so that evil doesn't come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't leach out, but it's clearly leaching out.
Yeah.
You can get rid of the crosses.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand.
It's the job's not being done.
You're setting up rules that don't apply.
I think the way that they're trying to because I thought that too. I was like, well, then how is it getting out if all those crosses are there?
They literally said it can't.
But I'm the way that I kind of, I guess, was like, okay, I guess, was because they did go inside. Now they're talking to, I'm sorry, what's the
Oana? Oh, the abbess?
Yeah. And they're sitting there interacting with the castle now, or the monastery or whatever. And I just was like, okay, well, I guess now that you are bothering.
Like they woke it up.
Yeah. But it does if the crosses were there to keep it in, you're right. How is it getting to the village?
Yes, and I just feel like we made such a big point about it.
Yeah.
You said these crosses keep the evil in.
Yeah.
By the way, our village is terrible.
Yeah.
And it's caused by the evil of the Abbey.
Yeah. But Grigori says that whatever evil is up there, like you said, is leaking out and poisoning them. He turns his head to spit on the floor before asking who the people that Frenchie led up there yesterday were. Frenchie says that they were a priest and a nun. Grigori asks if they're still up there, and Frenchie nods, quietly confirming that he's supposed to pick them up tomorrow. Grigori says that he just found a body up there, right? Well, he believes Frenchie is about to find 2 more. He walks away, leaving Frenchie fearful and contemplating. He shoots a glance up toward the gun hanging behind the bar. I will say that we did not have a lot of time with Grigori, but he chewed the scenery.
He
Gave it everything he got.
Yeah.
Well, I think that line, when you're about to find 2 more, I'm like, I'm going to drink at another bar.
Yeah.
This isn't what I want when I come to the bar.
Well, so for me, why are you, unless it's a ghost gun, that gun ain't gonna do you shit. You know what I mean?
Honestly.
You're gonna go over there and what?
That's true.
What?
But in all fairness,
No. Yeah.
it's somehow.
But right now. But right now.
Yes.
I didn't even fucking think of that.
He doesn't bless it.
No, nothing.
All right. Sure. It's his boomstick.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
But even that, like you just said, and it made me think, okay, you know that I went and found a body up there.
Yes.
You know I took 2 people up there. I'm responsible for waking that thing up.
Well,
Why are you not mad at me? Or why are you not? Since you found that dead nun, the town has been going fucking nuts.
You're right.
You know, people would be in hysteria. People would be like, this is your fucking fault. He's just sitting there drinking with an old wooden cross from that church.
like you
Oh
took
my
one?
God,
Yeah.
You're right.
It's
You
weaker?
came from over there.
It's weaker now?
Yeah.
The barrier?
What the fuck?
I can't.
Why is nobody angry at you?
I don't know. They're like, so you want another beer?
Because
Yeah.
he's Frenchy.
And hear me out. Them covering the mirror also plays into earlier when she came out of the mirror. So just keep it as that.
And
you know what I
then-
mean? Keep using that. You have it there. You did it again on accident.
And you don't even say anything.
Yeah.
I'm just about to lay down on the floor.
I know Sister Irene, she's the one that saw it, but there's a connection here.
Yeah.
That's just
It's just missed opportunities.
Yeah.
it really does feel like this is several scripts put together.
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
Frankenstein together.
You don't know, what is it? One hand doesn't know what the other hand's doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it feels like.
But back at the Abbey, Burke reads from one of those casket books.
This can wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And out of the ground formed every beast of the field and every bird of the sky. And whatever the man called the demon creature, that was its name. He looks over pictures of demonic creatures, passing over one that takes the form of a nun. He flips the page one more time to reveal the name. Valak, the Defiler, the Profane, the Marquis of Snakes.
That's exactly what Lorraine said.
That was my nickname in college.
The Marquis. It's the Marquis of Snakes.
I'm like, woo!
The Defiler.
The Profane, baby.
Tanix. He's the defiler in Destiny.
Oh, shit.
Okay, so real quick, our old buddy Valak.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of know. I know we did talk about it, Valak a little. It was like, oh shit, like you said in Conjuring 2, that was cool. But here's like, okay, I want to see what really or who Valak is. So the Valak that's described in mythology, this isn't it.
Okay.
Yeah, this isn't what's going on. So the Valak is old because one of the most notable mentions is from mid 17th century. It's The Lesser Key of Solomon is a book where Valak is mentioned. So this is like Valak is a thing, but Valak, now hear me out,
Oh, no.
is a baby
Okay.
with sharp teeth, angel wings, and they ride on the head of, they ride on a two-headed dragon. I mean, that's pretty cool. I know maybe you couldn't do that in this movie.
No, I mean, that's basically what we get here, right?
Oh, can you imagine Judy Warren being like, Mom, who's that? What the fuck?
That would be fucking awesome.
A baby on a dragon?
Yeah,
Look how sharp those teeth are.
but how cool would that be if the mirror broke and then here comes this baby just strutting? I mean, it'd be silly as fuck.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would. I think that's why you're so excited.
Yes.
It's like the New Year's baby or whatever.
Fuck it.
Sure.
Yeah, there you go.
Red eyes.
Yeah.
That's so I wonder if they were just like attracted to the name or if like, because that's not what we get.
No.
Well, I feel like there are certain letters that call out to you as sounding dark.
Yeah.
And Valak sounds like a...
No, it's
No,
good.
it's cool.
It's
Yeah,
a great
it
name,
is.
but they're like, we're going to go another way with it.
Yeah.
We're going to lose the baby and the dragon. We're actually not going to use anything.
altogether. Yeah.
Just the name. Just the name. But the gate that they were granted entry through rumbles loudly as it's brought back down without warning. Burke hurries over to it, calling out to Sister Irene, but getting no response. We cut to Sister Irene, sitting at a table across from Sister Owana. She tells Irene that Victoria's death was a terrible tragedy for them, but they still feel her presence. She says that Victoria was the most devoted out of any of them. When they hear footsteps out in the hall, she excuses herself to promptly close the door. She sits back down, but before she can say anything else, another nun opens the door that Owana just closed, walking away without another word. Owana apologizes for this, saying that they are very protective of their privacy and some of the nuns don't want her to speak to Irene at all. Irene tells her that they appreciate her doing it anyway. But when she asks about the history of the Abbey, Owana reveals that it was built by a duke in the Dark Ages. Now, when she asks about the history, we're kind of like behind her.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, can you tell me about the history of the Abbey? And then we get a random shot of her and she looks fucking terrified.
It's like she's already heard about it.
Yeah. Dude. It's like, girl, you want to know or not? Like, I busted out laughing.
It was so funny because your sister told me and she was like, you'll know.
Oh, man.
And I was like, all right. So while I'm watching it for the show, I see it because it is. You see her wide-eyed, terrified. Then in the next shot, she's fine.
Well, because her voice is so calm. And then she hasn't even told the story yet. And she's like, can you tell me about the Abbey? Like her face is like she's terrified. It's just because I was like, the editing to me is weird in some places.
Yeah.
And so I gave that as an example. And he's like, you're right.
Sister Owana's like, I don't think you can handle it.
Never mind.
Yeah. No.
I honestly don't think I should tell you.
No, we're good.
But we flash back to see these events. The Duke of St. Carta moving through a room with a ritualistic symbol on the floor. Above this symbol, 5 motionless bodies are wrapped in sheets and suspended upside down. We see his altar covered in books and candles, and Owana explains that he wrote countless texts on witchcraft and rituals to call upon the forces of hell. We see him kneeling over the symbol on the floor and hear Owana say that hell used him to open a gateway, allowing evil to walk among us. We see the ground shaking and the body swaying above it. Someone or something crawls out from under the ground, steaming. Suddenly, the doors bust open and knights rush in. Owana explains that the church stormed the castle. They rush in and subdue and execute the Duke. The blood on the floor drains into the ground, and Owana says that they were able to seal the gateway using an ancient relic containing the blood of Jesus Christ. We see a faceless person pour this blood into the cracks on the ground and watch from beneath as it seals back up.
Okay, so I just want to say that I enjoy this flashback.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I enjoy the placement of it.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I enjoy it as the sole origin of
Yes, that's my issue.
Valak, the nun. I want to see this demon that we saw born infect a nun
Yes.
Yeah.
in the convent who becomes Valak, the
Yeah.
nun. That to me is a much more interesting story.
Absolutely.
Tie that with what happened at the beginning, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's see that at the beginning. Put this actually happening into the nuns, and then it, you know what I mean? Getting out of control and them having to step in and whatever.
Instead of just being dragged into the darkness.
Yeah.
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 It also is kind of weird that it's just like, oh, you want to know? Okay, here. That was kind of weird to me. It's like, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, and that's how to fix it too. Okay, cool.
Well,
Like-
this whole thing is just the exposition dump.
Yeah.
We've got him doing his research scene in the...
yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. No.
And then we got her talking and figuring out the ancient history.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know why it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like the look of the flashback.
yeah.
I like the visual of the ground being broken open, a demon coming through.
Yeah.
Why is this not working?
I don't know. The knights kneel before a cross, and we see a nun kneel, cross herself, and begin prayers. Owana explains that the church claimed the castle for themselves, and that's when the constant praying began to contain the evil. She says that it worked for centuries. The evil was kept at bay until the bombs during the war shook the abbey. We see the once sealed floor crack open, and Owana says that evil found another way to open the gateway. This was great.
Yeah, and the social commentary.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yes.
I mean, what is going on?
For every miss, there's a hit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not for every
Well,
miss.
okay. For every 3 misses, there's a half a hit.
We walked one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One was hit by the pitch.
Yeah.
Back at the table, Irene reveals that she saw a nun last night at the Abbey. Owana's face fills with fear, but Irene continues to describe her as anything but holy.
That's not the story.
That's not what happened.
You
That's
didn't
not what you
just
saw.
see a nun.
Yeah.
No. Wide-eyed, Awana asks, "You see her too?" She admits that she's seen her stalking the hallways at night. They all have. We see Valak standing at the end of a dark corridor, the camera slowly pressing in before going back to Awana. She says that she looks like them, but she's not one of them. It's something unholy that takes on different forms to deceive them. She says that it takes the form of a nun so that it can hide in their cloister until it can corrupt all of them. And I guess that may have been true at one time.
I don't really know.
Yeah.
You don't need to... okay.
And I wasn't a big fan of the writing here where she's like, it's something that's far from holy. And she's like, it's unholy.
It's unholy.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
the opposite.
Can someone say the word evil, please?
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking. It's not that hard. I just said it.
Fighting back tears, Awana says that she thinks the presence means that the portal has opened. She says that it made Sister Victoria commit the ultimate sin, but before she can continue, she's interrupted by someone calling her name in the doorway. Sister Abigail, played by Maria O'Bretton, tells Awana that it's almost time for Sister Ruth's prayers to be done, and it's time that she start hers. Awana accepts this, rising to her feet with Irene. Abigail looks at Irene, commenting that she hasn't taken her vows yet. We know.
God
She
damn.
can't be here.
Yeah. Or can, I mean.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I do not know.
Irene quietly admits that this is true, and Abigail quickly concludes that this is not the place for her then, and she needs to leave now. Awana tells her that this isn't possible because the gates are closed and they can't leave until they're open again. They don't open till sunrise, so she'll have to stay the night. Abigail looks annoyed at this, but she walks away as Irene nods, accepting her circumstances. You could have warned a bitch. Like,
Yeah.
Wait, you opened the gates for us to come in? Have we been here for 12 hours?
I mean,
Yeah.
if they have, then Burke has been reading that book for 12 hours because it closed on him.
And if they have, I mean, we learned a lot, but not anything that couldn't be learned in like 30 minutes.
We learned
Yeah.
a lot.
We did. We know the
I'll
whole
give you
history.
that.
Yeah. We
You
do
were
now.
excellent teachers, but
Awana shows Irene the room that she'll be staying in. It is small and sparse, but there is a bed. Irene notices a piece of rope tied to one of the legs.
yeah, I didn't catch that. Did somebody get exercised in
I
here?
don't know.
You know? Well,
Yeah.
wait, if she's saying that that Valak is taking over the entire cloister,
Yeah.
maybe that happened.
Maybe.
I guess.
Yeah.
Awana tries to make a hasty retreat, wishing Irene good night, but Irene stops her. She shows her the key that Victoria had been clutching. She asks if she knows what it's for.
I did want to point out something when Sister Abigail,
Yeah.
first of all, Bray Wyatt, when Sister Abigail turned, a tear ran down her cheek. Did you mention? Did you?
Oh, I didn't see that.
No, I didn't either.
It was a slight little, but I don't know. I understand what it's meant to mean, but it only makes sense in regards to a thing that isn't happening.
Yeah.
So I can't even say
Why
that
are
it's...
you crying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we were talking earlier, and there is this, it's cooking. Something's going to happen with all of this. But these scenes before it happens does not reflect what we learn later to be happening.
No.
So it almost feels like we've been saying, like, this is two different circumstances. One person wrote a movie where this one thing is happening, and another person wrote a movie where the other thing is happening, and then they smushed them together.
Mm-hmm. And this is an example.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what room she's in
No.
You're right. That's the rope. That makes sense.
from the beginning.
Yeah, her room is literally the room that Sister, what's her name, jumped from.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's, but I don't remember it being a bed that slapped against the staircase.
But that room was connected to the hallway where all this happened.
The leg bone's connected to the knee bone. But
Look,
we'll see. We'll see right now.
Anybody who listens to Talk Mortem, I've said more than once, I'm terrible at directions. I don't know where the fuck I am half the time. So that one's on me. I'll take that.
because we do have that corridor hallway.
Yes.
Yeah. But she asks Awana if she knows what the key is for, and Awana looks down at the key in her hand and gives a stern no. She looks back behind her at the creepy-ass whisper-filled corridor before turning back to Irene and telling her that she needs to go pray.
I thought that she was going to peer down that corridor and be like, turn back and be like, sleepover. I'm not going in there.
Scoot over, girlfriend.
No.
She leaves quickly, closing the door behind her. Alone in the room now, Irene hears the lock in the door click into place. Footsteps retreat, and when Irene tries the door, it doesn't open. Bert continues looking through the old texts and pictures using the light of a candle. He finds the drawing of the room where the evil was summoned and mutters aloud, asking how to get there. The abbess surprises him by speaking up from the shadows, assuring him that there is not another way in.
Have you been watching me this whole time? Fucking weirdo. Like, say something. He's like, I was burping.
Yeah.
So I'm so embarrassed.
Bert calls out to her and starts to look for her in the room, but the abbess only asks what it is that concerns him. Bert finally finds her, sitting shrouded in her dark fabric in that large stone chair, which is probably the first place he should have looked.
Yeah.
He admits to her that he's afraid because there is something very wrong with this place. She counters that the Abbey just has a long history, like many other places. While she'll allow that it's not all good, she counters that they do repent. Burke tells her about the key he found in Victoria's hands and asks what it opens. The abbess bypasses this question, instead telling Burke that he's too late because Sister Irene is lost. Just as she speaks these words, her neck cracks loudly as it lolls to the side.
Oh no, you're telling me that she was a ghoul this entire
Yeah.
time?
What?
Wow. I never would have guessed.
Concerned when she doesn't say anything else, Burke approaches her carefully, reaching his hand toward her.
I did want to say for a split moment, her crucifix starts glowing. And it's like, I understand it's a quest item, but I don't...
Yeah. I was going to say that's her weak spot. He peeks beneath the fabric covering her face, and shockingly, she reaches out and grabs his arm. Horrified, Burke drops his candle, discovering that the arm is old, dead, and disembodied. He's able to pry himself loose, and when the arm hits the ground, it breaks on impact. But when Burke looks back up at the chair, it's empty.
But the arm's still there.
The arm is still there.
I don't know who I was or what I was talking to, but I gotta go.
Yeah.
No, I'm done.
Goodbye.
Sister Irene.
Yeah. I'll send help.
Yeah.
Frenchie will be here tomorrow.
We'll come back for you. Thunder booms as rain begins to pour down on the Abbey. Inside, we follow behind Irene as she walks around a dark room with her hands out in front of her. We get in very close as she stops and slowly turns around. Father Burke's voice whispers her name, and her voice responds. Mary points the way. When Irene finally turns around, her eyes are completely white and blood is smeared on her cheek. We see a statue of Mary wearing a crown and cradling a baby Jesus, darkened by shadows and covered in pouring rain. Then the statue becomes clear. Blood flows down the stone steps in reverse, defying gravity as it's sucked back up. The version of Irene with the white eyes screams, and we pull away from her, revealing the vision of a woman with her arms spread, covered in blood, and Valak's yellow eyes before finally pulling out to reveal Irene waking with a gasp in bed.
So we saw a figure covered in blood with Valak's eyes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't come up again.
Nope.
No.
I feel like this should have definitely been part of this nun becoming this demon nun's story.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't get that.
No.
We're all out of time here at Pod Mortem, so we're just going to carry on.
Thank you. Good night. She hears someone whispering prayers and spots a nun, kneeling in the shadowed corner of her room, rocking back and forth as she frantically whispers. Irene asks who she is, and immediately the figure freezes, its bones cracking loudly as it does. And I know that we just heard some neck bones crack, but if you like the sound of bones cracking, you're really going to like it. This and things that happen later.
I will say the sound design's pretty good.
Yeah,
It is.
It is.
I will give it
It's just
that.
they
Yeah.
do it a lot.
They do.
Slowly, Irene swings her legs out of bed and gets to her feet. With her eyes focused on the nun in front of her, she doesn't notice the cross over the bed slowly turning to invert itself.
I don't know why. I understand the visual in The Conjuring too, because they did that a lot there.
Yeah.
It's just kind of funny to me that the demon enters the room and they're like, no, I like it this way.
Yeah.
No, none of that.
Not while I'm here.
I'm here.
Irene slowly approaches the figure, whose hands clutch rosary beads. The hand shakes uncontrollably as the beads come loose and roll across the floor. Irene picks one of the beads up and looks back over at the kneeling woman, but she's gone. They're doing the dice move too much.
Yeah.
Seeing something, looking down, looking up, and it's gone.
Yeah.
We just did that with the abbess 30
Yeah.
seconds ago. Like, they're doing that a lot.
Is this the nun that was helping? She was talking with earlier, or
I think this is
just
the nun that jumped.
from the beginning.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Suddenly, Sister Victoria appears behind her, her eyes completely white. She whispers, "God save you," into Irene's ear before repeating the process of wrapping the noose around her neck and stepping out of the window. It's hilarious that I wrote this and I was like, oh, this is a room where it happened. My head is swimming.
You're on autopilot.
Irene stares in shock out the window, transfixed until she hears the door behind her unlock and creak open loudly. A voice whispers to her to please come. She asks if the voice belongs to Sister Owana, but she doesn't get a response. Still, holding a candle for light, Irene sets out down the hall. She descends some stairs and somehow finds herself in the same cross-filled hallway from the beginning. She makes her way to the end until she reaches the door. The door screams on its hinges as it's pushed open. Irene's candle is immediately blown out, and there, in the open doorway, standing in the shadows, is Valak. Irene is immediately overcome, struggling to turn around and go back the way she came. She turns, shaky on her feet, and drops her candle. A strong wind begins to blow against her as she tries to escape. She holds on to crosses to keep from being blown right into Valak's clutches. She stands in the doorway menacingly, beckoning to Irene and laughing. Irene loses her grip on the key Victoria had, but she is able to scoop it up when the wind finally does blow her away. She lands with her back to the door, which is closed now, and Valak is gone. She looks around for a moment, looking at the key and around her, but when Valak's hands thrust through the wood in the door and grab hold of her, she immediately pulls herself free and runs back down the hallway she came. She stops to turn around, but the corridor is going dark quickly, the darkness approaching her. Irene screams and keeps running, but suddenly someone grabs her, puts their hand over her mouth, and pulls her into a hole in the wall. Irene is panicked, but she is reassured when it's only Owana. She cautions Irene to be quiet and tells her that the evil has grown stronger and implores her to gather her things and meet her in the chapel because prayer is the only thing getting them through this. Irene follows her instruction and leaves.
So was this, I can't remember the ad campaign, but was this the one where they were like, the darkest chapter of the Conjuring universe?
Yeah, I think so.
Because I couldn't see shit. What was going on?
I was like, is this the final season of Game of Thrones?
Dude, I was like, is she upside down? I don't know what's going on. She dropped a key, but I don't know. If she can find it, that's fucking a miracle because I don't even know who you are right now. I was like, is this my TV? Is this an issue with the lighting? Is this a cinematographer? Is this the color
Ethan
grading?
Hawke here?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
They're eating dinner. I was like, what is going on? I thought that I was nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was very dark.
Okay.
I also saw in an interview with Thaisa Farmiga and Corin Hardy that they had put up speakers during the scene, and because obviously, like, this isn't really
No, yeah.
happening.
For sure.
The fact that I felt the need to say that. They put up speakers and Corin Hardy was going like into a microphone for them to run away from and react to, which I thought was pretty funny.
So it's like the Spielberg dinosaur noises.
Oh yeah. He told a story and he said that they were filming a scene where Thaisa Farmiga is in the corridor. So it could have been here. I'm not sure. But he said that the way that everything was set up, the monitors were pretty far away for him to be able to see her. And so he went into one of the rooms. Maybe it's a set later, but he went into like a side room and was watching it. So he said that first of all, he had seen a handprint that didn't belong to anyone. So
did he test every member of the crew?
Yeah. He's like, he Cinderella'd him. Put your hand right here.
It doesn't belong to anyone.
Yeah, no one here. But he goes into this room and he sees two sound dudes standing in there. And he said that there's one door to this room and he is like kind of in front of it watching the monitors. The two sound guys are in there. He said he was in there for about half an hour getting the shot that he needed from her. And when he is like, okay, we got it, he goes to tell the sound guys and there's no one there.
Uh-huh. So we're going to go ahead and abandon this project.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
This is soon to be a story about how the crew who filmed The Nun passed away. So we're not going to film The Nun anymore.
They fucking Roanoke it, huh?
Yeah.
They Grave Encounters them.
Man, that really sucks because on the TV I watched it on, it looked great.
Did it?
I found it dark too. Oh, we did watch it on different TVs.
Yeah, we did.
Damn.
Because my note is, man, that hallway scene looked really cool.
Oh, well, the hallway, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking about whatever happened
You're like, I
to
don't know.
Baby Jane. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened there at all. I hope she's all right.
Back in the castle, Burke is standing around looking confused. He sees a nun walk into a confessional booth, but when he pulls the curtains open, the booth is completely empty. Again. Okay.
But when it happens, he seems a little surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just encountered a ghost arm.
That's the
Yeah.
thing. And Burke can be surprised all he wants. Me?
Uh-huh.
Y'all have done this 4 times in a row. I'm not surprised. But Irene arrives in the chapel where Sister Abigail kneels and prays desperately. Her tone gets higher, choked with tears. Irene notices a sheet on the ground concealing something body-shaped.
Hold on. I just thought of a really interesting rewrite that could have worked with the confessional booth.
Okay.
If he's still maintaining guilt for what happened to Daniel, the demon locks him in there and he has to confess that he killed the boy.
Oh.
Okay.
Even though he didn't do it,
Yeah.
it's forcing him to.
Yeah.
I feel like that's more effective than being like, you're not there. Okay.
Ma'am. Excuse me, sister.
Yeah. I'd like to confess. Oh, never mind. No one's here.
But Irene pulls the white sheet down to reveal Awana, dead. Her eyes are white and tears of blood streak down her face. Her hands bear the signs of stigmata as she clutches onto a cross. Back with Burke, he hears Daniel's echoing voice, asking how long he's been dead. After looking for a moment, he sees the boy standing across the room. Burke apologizes to him, but Daniel is like, don't ask the boy any more questions. Talk to me.
And I'm sorry, dude. I understand. Of course, he's harboring guilt.
Yeah.
But he knows better than anyone that this is not Daniel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it's very irritating.
Yeah.
You were just reading the book.
Yes. Never mind.
Yeah.
What happens next?
Daniel.
Just disdain.
Daniel is suddenly perched on a pillar and his voice is distorted and demonic. I can't read anymore. Asking Burke why he wouldn't help him. The stone statues begin to crumble at the sound of his voice. Dust starts to fall from the ceiling as the building shakes. Skulls topple onto the floor and hands thrust out from the walls. So this is just like, do all of it.
Make the walls bleed.
Do it. Daniel grabs onto Burke and unleashes his long serpent-like tongue. He screams as Burke wrenches away from him and runs across the room. And when he looks back, it's not Daniel, but Valak standing before him. The shot of him running up the stairs to get the hell out of there was hilarious. But back at the chapel, we are staring again at Awana's pale face. Abigail continues praying desperately, and when she hears footsteps, Irene covers the body back. Suddenly, the nuns come marching in. They come 2 by 2.
Dude, you're not joking.
Yeah, no.
They were like a fucking flash mob. Like it was a lot.
Army of onward Christian soldiers.
But they come 2 by 2, crossing themselves in unison. The nuns at the back lock the doors. Sister Ruth grabs Irene and tells her that they need to pray. She tells Irene to keep her eyes forward and don't stop praying no matter what she sees or hears. Of course, Irene takes this opportunity to look around the room and her eyes settle on that statue of Mary and baby Jesus. She pants, stricken with fear, but lowers to her knees, clasps her hands together, and joins the rest of the nuns with their prayer. We watch from an aerial view as Irene sits in the middle, the only one in her white habit as the rest of the nuns surround her. An eerie silence descends on them, and suddenly all of the nuns are struck back except for Irene. One seems to break her neck when she crashes headfirst into a wooden pew, and another one looks like she breaks her back when she's thrown into a pillar. I was like, God damn.
It's wild.
A piece breaks off of the statue of Mary, and the Jesus that presides on the giant cross in the front of the room is now headless. As the last nun standing, Irene has no other option than to begin to pray. Back with Burke, he finds the crossword that he was working on earlier. He looks at the answer that Irene had given him. Deliveries. He hears Frenchie's voice, recalling him saying that that's the door the nuns would come in through to get their supplies so they wouldn't have to leave the castle. He looks at the door that's literally next to him that also reads deliveries.
Yeah.
Dude.
Why was the crossword there?
Because
I don't know.
and who put it there? Was it Chris Kattan's ghost?
Well, he was trying to help him.
Yeah, he was. I don't understand.
If the door says it, whatever. I don't know, man.
You're just over
It was
it.
overkill.
Yeah.
I'm getting very tired. Burke starts to open the door, but is stopped when he hears the jingling of a bell. He finds it on the ground, a bell with a string tied to it. It's pulled away, jingling as it goes. Burke foolishly follows the bell as it's dragged across the floor and finally pulled up onto a shelf.
Are you a cat? Like
That's my note. You're not a cat, dude. What are you doing?
I don't get it.
Just watch it get pulled away.
Yeah.
I'm not falling for that.
Absolutely
No.
not. Everything that you've seen so
Yeah.
far, you just fled. Oh, God, man.
There's
You were in a box.
yes.
Yep.
There's a part in The Conjuring 2 where Patrick Wilson, well, he's not Patrick Wilson. Ed Warren gets his eyes burned and he hears something in a tent and he crawls into it and he watches the Crooked Man toy. It's like, why are you doing this? You don't have to do this. And so that's kind of how I feel here is even with, if it doesn't even make logical sense, they're going to find their way to every scare.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's like-
absolutely.
It's like being guided through a haunted house.
Yeah.
No, keep going. But again, the bell has disappeared and the shelf is covered in dust. When Burke wipes it away, it's revealed that there is someone underneath the glass. They scratch and beat on the glass until they're able to punch through. Burke backs away, afraid, but the undead creature crawls out. It advances on him, growling and snarling. But just as things look their worst for Burke, the creature is beheaded and he is splattered with its blood. Frenchie has come to save the day. Triumphant music plays as the head rolls onto the floor.
I just want to say Father Burke was probably like, evidence shows that corpses sometimes punch through ice and move like Silent Hill monsters towards you.
When they've died recently.
So this is just the hero moment, right?
Yes.
It's just
And if you like hero moments.
Oh, wow. And I will say that I did read an interview with Corin Hardy, and he did say that one of the influences for The Nun for him was Evil Dead 2.
come on.
So I think he's trying to make Frenchie Ash.
I think he's trying to piss John Paul.
Yeah. No, he made Frenchie ass. I don't know if he's not Ash. I'll tell you that's not. That's
Tell you that right
fuck
now.
he's not. Yeah.
I don't know if I can finish this.
Yeah,
Keep going. Keep going.
Bert calls on the Holy Mother of God, but Frenchie delivers the action hero line that he thought that they could use some help. Burke is thankful, but tells Frenchie to use the shotgun next time. Frenchie tells him that he's saving it for emergencies.
Interesting.
The other nuns are regaining consciousness and joining in. We hear snarling as something approaches her from behind. The back of her habit is ripped open, exposing her back. She continues to pray and she reacts in pain as deep scratches are gouged into the flesh of her shoulder blade. The growling continues and she cries as she prays, but she doesn't stop until someone pounds on the door and calls out. It's Father Burke, and we see that a pentagram has been carved into Irene's flesh. She gets up, assuring the sisters that Father Burke will help them, and she goes to open the door. She's surprised to see Frenchie, but he just wants to know what's happened. Irene explains that they've been praying perpetually, as it's the only thing that's able to stave off the evil. Burke is confused, though, asking who has been praying. Irene says that they all have, her and the other nuns. She turns around to look at the chapel behind her to find that the chapel is dark and she is completely alone. There are no other nuns here. So, again, they've disappeared.
We all saw this coming.
Yeah.
When he's like, you and who?
Yeah. There's this scene from Scrubs where I don't want to talk about it. It's very sad, but it reminded me of that. A similar question is asked of Dr. Cox, and it's very upsetting.
Oh, no. Irene promises that they were here and that they were praying as they were being attacked. Bert comments that it's visions, and Irene asserts that it felt so real. Was this a vision?
No. What she had when she was sleeping was a vision.
That's what.
Yeah.
This was an entire day.
That nun broke her back.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously. And you had, okay, this is where you lose me with this, because it wasn't just that you saw a nun in a corridor. They were having conversations with each other.
Yes.
You're learning of interpersonal dynamics between these nuns.
Yeah.
That, what kind of, is it a residual haunting? Is it what is this?
Yeah.
Because it's not a vision.
Yeah. Because I feel like if this was a vision, it wouldn't have been one nun being like, oh, that's Sister Martha. She's fine, but she's a little cranky in the morning if she doesn't have coffee. You shouldn't be talking like that if you're a ghost.
No, and
what does that matter?
I'm sorry, but time is of the essence as far as visions are concerned, and so let's get to it.
Yeah, she's like, have a seat.
Yeah.
This is so much.
She could have literally just seen the Abbey's floor being busted with the demon.
Yeah, she could have seen the flashback that we saw.
Yeah. But and you had said off mic, Nay, that it seems as if the meeting of the nuns was meant to be that these nuns are actually alive.
That's what it feels like.
And a few things are a little spliced together.
Yes.
Because I don't know, man. I really don't know.
They wander around the empty room, going to the sheet that covered Oana's body. Irene kneels before the sheet, and Burke and Frenchie watch as she pulls it down. The nun underneath is old and withered, clutching a cross in her hands. So I was like, okay, so that's real.
Was that Sister Abigail?
I don't know.
Okay.
Who knows?
Sorry. Irene covers the body and stands up. She surmises that there is no one left. She tells Burke that the answer is clear now if it wasn't before. This place is no longer holy. Irene crosses herself and begins to pray over the body, but it suddenly springs to life. The undead nun uses the sharpened end of the cross to stab Burke in the stomach when he steps in front of Irene. Frenchie is able to restrain her as a wounded Burke calls out instruction to Irene. She listens to him, gathering the cross and dousing it with the holy water from Burke's bag. Burke commands that the nun's face be covered, and he gathers his strength. He thrusts the cross onto the nun's covered face, praying loudly. Irene begins to pray with him as steam and smoke rise from the contact the cross made. Finally, the cross catches fire, and things get too spicy for the pepper, and Burke has to toss it aside. The undead nun rises, shrieking and engulfed in flames. She comes toward Irene and Burke, but suddenly she's shot. Frenchie has come to save the day. quipping that felt like an emergency. It's too soon.
Yeah.
It's too soon.
No, I'm laughing because you're waving your hand at me.
Yeah.
Like, no.
No, you just said I'm saving it for emergencies in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That felt like an emergency.
It's
No.
just been revoked.
Literally.
What?
You
No.
don't trust us enough to remember that he said that? Like, you got to
Yeah.
do it right away?
You know what? Maybe don't have him stealing it from a bar. Have it in his vehicle, his carriage the entire time. And,
Yeah.
and she's like, "What's that for?" And he's like, "It's for emergencies."
Yeah.
And then towards this part, fucking 50 minutes later,
That
There you
felt like
go.
an emergency.
Yeah.
Hail to the king, baby.
No. Don't do that.
hail to the ass, or whatever.
But he tells him that it's too late because the evil has been released, even though he was not present for that conversation when they established that there was evil to be released.
Jesus.
But Irene tells him that the demon has to possess a human soul to come into our world.
It's possessed like 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Realization crossing his face, Burke understands that Victoria must have been the last nun here. We see Sister Jessica again, fallen in the hallway with blood on her face. Her voice labored. She tells Sister Victoria that she knows what she must do. When Victoria refuses, Jessica tells her that not even God can save. And then again, she's pulled into the darkness. Victoria snatches up the key, and we hear Irene say that it wasn't a suicide. It was a sacrifice so that evil wouldn't take her soul. We see Victoria stepping out of the window and Frenchie finding her, bloody and guarded by crows. Frenchie admits that he doesn't understand a word that she just said, but he declares their investigation complete and advises that they get out of there.
There wasn't anything that she said that was complicated.
No.
Yeah.
You're trying to make him too everyman.
Yeah.
Slow down, Egghead. Irene tells them that they can't just leave. Frenchie asks why the hell not, and looking down at the burning nun, Irene tells him that they need to seal the gateway to contain the evil.
But you haven't taken your vows yet.
Who? She hasn't?
That has not been established.
They've never said that, not one time in this video. Later, as they bandage Burke's wound, Irene says that the gateway is in the catacombs, but they can't seal it without the relic, the blood of Christ. Frenchie is like, Christ as in Jesus Christ?
No, Bob Christ.
Yeah.
Get him out of here.
Yeah.
Get him out.
Come pick us up tomorrow. Burke asks if the nuns told her where it was, and Irene says that the abbess was found dead in the tunnel to the catacombs, and she thinks she knows where that is. Burke says that they'll look there first, but Irene stops him. She says that before they do, she wants to take her vows.
Okay.
Burke asks if she's sure, and Irene is. She says that her visions are a gift from God, and she's now ready to commit her life to him. With a smile, Frenchie tells her that that's noble, but it's a shame.
Why
He's
are
like,
you here?
I still want to fuck.
Oh, come on.
You know we could die, right?
Of course.
Like we're fixing to die.
Good
I
God,
guess that's
man.
even more reason then, though, right?
Yeah.
No, well, fuck it.
Anyway,
Yeah.
She's a nun.
Not yet. We cut to Burke using the authority entrusted to him and in the name of the church, receiving Irene's vows. She lies flat on the ground, the white of her habit stark in comparison with the charred and smoking body a few feet away. Is this how they do it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Because I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Can we do it in a different room, though?
Yeah, we got to do it. He's like, all right, get next to the dead one. I was like, what? Burke finishes the ceremony, praying in Latin as Frenchie loads the shotgun. Irene rises, reborn with her life officially committed to God. Her habit fixed from being attacked earlier, because with God, all things are possible. So jot that down.
I don't know. I don't know.
Also, this would have been the perfect opportunity for her to use that vision to see where they were supposed to go.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of her being like, oh, well, no, the nuns told me where she died. So I'm pretty sure it's just there.
Why do you even have this vision?
Yeah.
To find him in the grave clearly marked Anthony Burke. For that reason and that reason only.
Oh, man.
So for
Now I'm turning into... now I'm the cat. I was caught between oh man and oh wow, and I turned myself into a feline. So, keep going. Just keep going.
Oh, meow. Oh, man. From here, they enter the tunnels. Frenchie is dismayed that there is nothing there, but Irene insists that there has to be because the sisters told her that this key unlocked the relic. Burke pauses at a statue of Mary, a thin ray of light bouncing from the ceiling to her index finger and shooting forward. He asks Irene, "Don't you see it?" Mary points the way.
All right, I'm pissed. This is your story.
Yeah.
This is something that you've been experiencing since you were a child. Shouldn't it be Burke and Frenchie are getting a little frantic and confused because they don't see anything?
Yeah.
And then Irene points to the statue because it's been in her visions since childhood.
Yeah.
But Irene's like, who's that? Who's that lady?
He's like, don't you see? She's like, what? What's that?
I did see an interview and I thought it was really interesting because Corin Hardy had said that the title, you don't really know who they're referring to. And the title is half of Irene's face and half of Valak's face. So I kind of like that narrative that this is her story and this is her like stepping into like owning her gift and abilities, even though we don't really get to see her use them.
Right.
But I thought that was interesting that the nun could be Irene,
Fair.
Okay.
not Valak.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. But we zoom in on the light bouncing off of Mary's finger and we follow it to the wall across from the statue. Between two of the stones is a small hole, and when Irene slides the key in, the rocks rumble as they open. Inside is the relic, encased in a glass bubble at the end of a chain, the blood of Christ residing within a cross. Burke holds it up, presenting it in reverence. Frenchie mutters, "Holy shit," and Burke agrees, "The holiest."
I don't like that at all.
Frenchie, please.
Yeah. I was very surprised at Father Burke's reaction.
Yeah.
No, he's cool.
Well, she's the punk rock nun, but he's never let on anything like that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he's not a regular priest. He's a cool priest.
He's Father Dirty Harry, apparently.
He places the chain around Irene's neck, declaring that only a bride of Christ can wield something so sacred. They start to take off, but Frenchie stops them, asking if they shouldn't say a prayer first. Burke dismisses this, saying that there's a time for prayer and a time for action, but now is the time for action.
I'm not a religious person. I find it very hard to believe that somebody asks a priest to say a prayer and he's like, no.
Yeah.
That really shocked me, first of all. Second of all, you're telling me the blood of Jesus Christ is on this property and it means nothing?
See,
Yeah.
Until you actually like pour it on?
You got to take it out. Yeah, because even Jacob prayed and from dusk till dawn.
yeah. Well, okay. So the thing about that, I wasn't gonna really say anything, but I don't like that either. The only thing is like, okay, so yeah, the gate is here, so it would make sense, I guess, to have it close by, but to have it that close, who's to say if the evil doesn't come out, they protect this so it could never be defeated. If I just keep everybody away from this spot, they can't get to it. I'm cool. You know what I mean? But it just seems very, I don't know. It seems very weird to have the key so close to the lock when the lock is alive and the key's just sitting there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, I don't understand.
I don't get it at all.
You got to take it out.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know. I don't know.
So if something happened to the building or if a bomb hit it, then we're fucked or what?
Well, that's the only thing that can contain,
Yeah.
I guess.
Then
I
yeah,
don't-
fucked. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
All right.
Yeah. Frenchie does argue that it seems like it's a time for prayer too, but nobody listens to him. They travel down the cross-filled tunnel until they reach the door marked "God ends here." Irene and Frenchie follow behind Burke as they enter. Irene says that they need to search everywhere to find the gateway, and in true Scooby-Doo fashion, they all split up, entering different areas.
This makes no sense.
Literally zero. We needed to have, they each needed one more experience before we wrap this up.
Yeah.
That's all this felt like.
But see, I'm not gonna lie. The whole time I was like, "Oh, this is a portal. This is a portal. It's just darkness," and kind of like House when he opens the bathroom cabinet.
Hell
Okay.
yeah.
So I was like, okay, maybe it's like that.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's like just like an entrance to a club or a dungeon or some shit.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's just the name. That's cool, dude.
Yeah.
It's like, I get it.
And there's that weird bird thing in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
All
oh,
right.
they're raving in there. Oh, all right.
Let's watch House after this.
Yeah, let's do that.
You guys have fun.
Frenchie travels down one hall with a torch in one hand and his shotgun readied in the other. When he looks into a pitch black room, something growls at him, snuffing out the flame of his torch. Frenchie drops it and runs. Irene travels down her own hallway, and when she looks to the side, we pan back to her to see a nun behind her, her features hidden in shadow. A whisper tells her the way to go, but when Irene turns and sees the mysterious nun, she freezes. Suddenly, jumping out from another room, another nun rushes out and chokeslams her into a wall.
I don't know why that term is so funny. I didn't count on you saying that.
No, but you just think of wrestling.
Yeah, that's it.
No, absolutely. Irene is able to run away, leaving both nuns behind her, and she drops her lantern. It's all happening so fast that it's like, okay, one more for Frenchie, one more for Irene.
Yeah.
Let's go to Burke real quick. And again, this is the perfect time to Professor exit and show us where the fuck to go.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Hearing her screaming, Bert calls out and tries to find her, but only finds her abandoned lantern. But Irene has found another door. She goes in, lighting a candle to guide her way. On the other side of the dark room, a candle placed on the ground lights itself. Another candle lights, then another, and another. Irene spins to see that she's fallen for the oldest trick in the book, the old lure you with the candle to make you stand in the middle of a pentagram.
It's happened to the best of us.
You hate
Yeah.
to see it. She spins, screaming at the top of her lungs, but suddenly the candles go out. She turns to run, but she is met with a wall of ghostly nuns, all clothed in white. One of them smacks the candle from her hands. That made me laugh. That's wild, dude.
That's not even supernatural.
No, I could go do that. Like that's
rude.
fucking
Give me that
wild.
shit, bitch. She's like, oh my
That's
God.
unbelievable.
But she screams, getting the attention of Frenchie, who readies the shotgun again. Father Burke takes a wrong turn and finds a group of nuns standing in the shadows, their shrouded heads bowed in prayer. Sensing his presence, they stop praying and lift their heads in his direction, the bones in their neck cracking as they do. Burke tries to walk away, but they squat up and follow him. Thinking quickly, Burke booms out a prayer and traces a cross into the ground with the gas from the lantern. He drops the lantern, causing the flames to burn in the outline of the cross and keep the nuns at bay.
You look really disappointed. His control with that lantern's fantastic.
Yeah.
That was really impressive.
Great work.
Frenchie breaks into the room where he heard Irene screaming. There are many nuns inside, all dressed in the same white as Irene, but all of their heads are covered in a bloody cloth. Frenchie aims his gun and starts to back out, but he hears Irene's voice calmly whisper, "Frenchie, help me."
Was it Insidious Chapter 2 where it was similar with the heads covered and the...
Oh, yeah.
When he's trying to go through them?
Yeah.
I think so.
All right, well, keep going.
Yeah. Knowing what he must do, he approaches one of the figures, but before he can expose her face, another one moves her head, bones cracking loudly. Frenchie pulls the gun on this one, breathing heavily, but eventually lowers it to continue his search. The nuns all stand perfectly still as Frenchie moves among them, only breaking to make more loud neck-cracking movements. Suddenly, they all walk away, exposing one last nun with her face covered in bloody fabric. She is suspended impossibly, leaning far forward but not falling, with her arms spread out on either side of her. I feel genuinely, I know you mentioned Insidious. To me, this felt like a ripoff of the Silent Hill Nurses.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Big to me. But also, why are they all standing there? Nobody touches him. Nobody tries to fool him. They're all like, all right, ladies, he's had enough. And they leave.
Yeah, that's all.
Well, they knew that he was going to make sure that she was okay. Annie, are you okay?
Dude, yes, I swear to God, I was going to say you were saying Silent Hill, but this is a clear inspiration from the Smooth Criminal video.
Yes, of course.
Fair enough.
Yes.
No, you're right. You're right.
I was like, how's she doing that?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. We seen Mike do.
No, it was pretty impressive.
She's got those shoes, dude.
Yeah.
Frenchie prays to himself quietly in French as he pulls the covering off of her face. It's Irene, facing downward and her skin discolored. But suddenly she looks up at him, her face contorted and demonic as she screams.
So we're starting to see things from her vision.
Yeah.
It's just like dude from Puppet Master. Why don't you tell somebody what your vision was?
Yeah.
And we can maybe try to avoid that. Maybe we wouldn't have split up in the corridor. Marked God's not here. I don't know.
Frenchie is launched backward into a pillar, floating high above the ground as Irene settles back onto her feet. Her eyes are yellow and her teeth are sharp like Valak's, but her words are even sharper. In a deep and terrifying voice, she tells Frenchie that he failed, just like he's failed everyone in his life. It would have been nice to know if
anything?
This is something that Frenchie is wrestling with, because I don't know this dude.
Yeah.
I know he likes to get it in. That's all I know.
Get it in.
That's all I know. She grabs the shotgun and advances on him as he slides down to the ground. She tells him coldly that tomorrow the village will be missing its idiot. She stands toe-to-toe with Frenchie, pointing the shotgun at him, but Frenchie is sneakily touching the relic around her neck. So she's able to wear it.
Yeah. That's you know what, honestly, and this isn't just because of our opinions on Frenchie, how shocking would it have been if she just blew his head off? Like if she just blew his head off. That would be wild.
It would.
And
My jaw would have hit the ground.
Yes, and then I would say that, this movie is shocking.
Yeah.
Because this, of course, this is going to happen. The villain's going to monologue, and then
Yeah.
no, but if she just walked over there and did that, I'm just saying that might have brought me back.
Oh no, it would. Yeah.
She says, "You should have kept running, Frenchman." But Frenchie lets her in on his secret. He's French Canadian.
All right.
Groovy. He rubs her face. He rubs her face and she's propelled backward, the evil leaving in clouds of black from behind her. Irene's face is bloody, but it's hers again. Frenchie screams at her to run, and they both try to, but Valak is here now. She grabs Frenchie by the throat and lifts him up. Irene tries to help him, but Valak growls at her, and she's launched backwards, landing far away in a pool of water. Valak chokes Frenchie until he collapses lifelessly onto the ground.
He smiled there. He was alive.
He crumpled.
Yeah, wow.
Burke is still looking for Irene, but he's got his own demons. When we flash back, I'm like, oh, Burke is still just where are you at, dude? Daniel drops down from the ceiling onto his back. His snake friend wraps itself around Burke's throat. When Burke is finally able to pull it free, I'm so sorry. The snake fucking bites him in the face.
Yeah.
Dude, I was so shocked. It bites his eye.
Yes.
Yeah.
He finally stumbles into the room where Irene is in the water. Irene realizes that the relic has fallen from her neck, but she can see it bobbing in the water. Before she can get to it, though, Valak rises from the water slowly, her dark chorus accompanying the moment.
I do want to say that I did read in Horror Extra in an interview with Corin Hardy. All of this stuff is captured in camera.
Oh, wow.
Really?
All of these different apparatuses that are making her float in the water a certain way or glide on it or rise from it. It's all legitimately done.
This does look cool, though.
Yes.
The music and her rising up, it's like, this is what I wanted.
Yes.
Yeah.
If only what led us here.
It's just a little too late. But Valak runs through the water to Irene immediately, grabbing her by the throat and choking her before plunging her head underwater. Bert gets into the water, praying loudly, but Valak only smiles at him, revealing her sharp teeth as she continues to hold Irene under the water. With just a look, Bert flies out of the water and hits the wall, falling to the ground in another crumpled heap. While her attention is otherwise engaged, Irene is able to grab the relic and pull it to herself, but Valak snaps back to the business of drowning her. Finally, Irene lifts the relic out of the water and presents it to Valak. Valak raises Irene out of the water, holding her in the air with one hand as she inspects the relic in the other. But upon closer inspection, it is only the glass container, and it's broken. Valak is like, "You tried to make a dupe out of me?" No, but she's pissed.
Yeah.
Her eyes shift from the dupe to Irene's face, but Irene opens her eyes and spits a mouthful of Christ's blood into Valak's face. Valak drops Irene into the water.
Just a couple things. One, I appreciate the payoff.
The spit.
Yeah.
The spitting line earlier.
Yeah.
But scientifically, how the hell is this possible?
I don't know. Not only scientifically, but like if I had a mouthful of blood, I'm like, like there's no way I'm just chilling and playing dead.
Just iron.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's making me feel sick.
Here's my thing, though. Earlier in the flashback, we seen the little splash of blood close the gate and the whole earth closed up.
Yeah.
Shouldn't that have turned her like Super Saiyan?
I don't know.
It should, and
I
you
mean, you would
wasted
think,
all
right?
of it.
So, yeah, oh yeah,
God,
that's all we have.
leave some-
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
that-
Leave
Oh
some
my
Christ
God.
blood for the rest of us.
That was the sweet blood of Jesus, and it's
Yeah.
just gone.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
So, first of all, we've proven that it can happen again.
Yeah.
So, and The Nun 2 in theaters or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Oh, fuck. You're right.
So, I mean, you didn't do anything.
Yeah, because let's not forget that the first time we meet Valak is years after
Later.
Holy
Yeah.
shit. Dude.
this. So this is all kind of pointless.
I can't even believe this.
Fuck.
Man, and then you wait. Dude.
Yeah. I hope there's more of those things down there.
I hope so.
Yeah.
They've hidden them in separate
Yeah.
areas on the wall. Because, dude.
I can't
And
believe this.
it makes me laugh so hard because it's like, what's her name? And I can't say who, but in the faculty with
Oh, yeah.
using up the scat, because when they closed the gate, he did like a drop.
Yeah.
But she's like, go, go, go.
Bottoms up. But she just did this, and now she's unconscious in the water. But Valak's face melts and decays. She screams as the gateway beneath her starts sucking in water. And her. Irene continues to float, but Frenchie has come to save the day.
Of course.
For the third time. He dives in the water and takes her out. The room is complete chaos as water and evil swirl around them. Finally, it is all sucked down below into the ground and the gateway is sealed back up. Irene is unresponsive, but Frenchie gives her CPR. And by CPR, I mean he puts his mouth on her mouth once and then looks at her.
I'm going to tell you right now, it's not.
I was like,
Yeah.
please give me that.
That is not how you do CPR.
After an uneasy moment, she coughs up the water from her lungs and gasps in air. She stares in disbelief at the room around her as Burke finally regains consciousness. It's like, yeah, you were a big help.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dirty Harry. Frenchie apologizes, telling Irene that it's called the kiss of life. And when he starts stammering, she asks him what his real name is. He tells her Maurice.
Some people call me.
Yeah.
Woo! I think we've lost it.
Oh, yeah. Let's try to find it again real quick. Just to close this out.
Tearfully, she tells him, "Thank you for saving my life, Maurice." and with a smile, he tells her that she's welcome. We get an aerial view of the sealed portal before traveling back down the hall where we came from and coming out of Father Burke's milky eye. So much shit happened that I was like, why is his eye fucked up? And I remember he got bit by a fucking snake.
So the snake was real.
The snake was real.
The venom is real.
Yeah, I mean, apparently.
Yeah. I just didn't. That was my thing too.
Mm-hmm.
So everything else disappeared. Does my wound go away?
No.
Is that like I'm
The
still
answer
just
is
fucked?
no.
No, yeah, he's carrying that with him forever.
But Irene's habit fixed itself.
Okay.
You win some, you lose some.
You know?
Yeah.
It's all about the important things.
Mm-hmm.
But Irene places a bandage over his eye. She herself only has a small cut on her cheek. We cut to them outside in the bright of day. Burke and Frenchie load his wagon as Irene says a prayer over the graveyard of the nuns of St. Carta. She calls them humble servants as she delivers them to God, citing the strength and faith with which they served him in life. She pleads with him to deliver them now from every evil and let them live with him in perfect grace forever. As she finishes with an amen, Frenchie comes over to her and says that he thought this ground wasn't holy anymore. With a smile, Irene says that it is now.
This house
Is clean.
I did laugh because she's fucking incredible at digging graves, but it's clear that Frenchie dug all of these.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was filthy.
Yeah, and that's too when she digs Father Burke out. She's not dirty.
No.
But whatever. As she climbs into the carriage, she asks Frenchie if he thinks he'll stay here, but Frenchie has decided that he's had his fill of Romania. He says that his father was a tomato farmer, so he might try that. Irene says that it sounds a little boring for a world traveler like him, but he counters that he hopes it is. He rubs the back of his neck absently, like when Bart got bit by that spider on his neck.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. It's not guilt, it's a spider, but it's the demon Valak. But, you know.
But when we see behind him, there's an inverted cross scarred onto the back of his neck. 20 years later, in a large classroom in Wakefield, Massachusetts, Ed and Lorraine Warren stand in front of an audience presenting video evidence of an exorcism. On the screen, he presents Maurice Theriault, better known as Frenchie, sweaty but shivering. We cut back to that horrible night and see Valak holding Frenchie up. A snake goes from her mouth down into Frenchie's throat.
So the snake isn't real.
Yeah.
That snake is real. Ed says that he was a French-Canadian farmer with nothing more than a third-grade education. But after he was possessed, he spoke some of the best Latin that Ed has ever heard. Lorraine mentions the inverted crosses that appeared on his body. In the audience, hanging on every word with an expression of extreme concern, is Carolyn Perrin, played by Lily Taylor. I love this.
Yeah.
This, okay, I love it as well.
Mm-hmm.
My problems with it are two things. One, in The Conjuring, he never said the name Frenchie, not once.
Well, we got it.
The name
gotta tweak it.
The name was Maurice. You just learned his name is Maurice.
Yeah.
So let's
That's
just use
good.
use the exact line from The Conjuring. We don't need to say Frenchie at all.
Mm-hmm.
Why would the students care? His friends called him Frenchie.
Yeah, no shit.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
He's fucking possessed.
Yeah.
Dude. That's kind of the most interesting thing about him right now.
I'm a little distracted from nicknames. And number two, this is 20 years later. Why do we have the actor from The Nun playing Frenchie? Why can't we just use the same footage? It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just irritated me to superimpose this dude's face.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
I mean, the fact that you superimposed his face double means that you don't need to say Frenchie.
Yeah.
We're looking at him. We know who he is.
I don't like it. I like it, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Ed continues with the 3 stages of demonic activity: infestation, oppression, and possession. On the screen, Frenchie grabs onto Lorraine with desperation. He's like, I knew a nun that looked just like you. No, but Lorraine sees a flash of Valak and her face contorts with fear as she screams. We freeze on her face and the credits roll with an ominous score and that creepy ass choir. So, what did you guys think of The Nun?
I mean, that was okay. You know, it wasn't. I think what have saved the movie for me is before it ended, if Valak was just like sitting in the back in like regular clothes. And then like
of the classroom?
Yeah, of the classroom. And then she just put sunglasses on. And then it just stopped. And it was like, oh yeah, you're coming back. It's like, all right.
Valak will be back.
Yeah, right.
Valak
The
will
Nun too.
return and
Yes.
Electric Boogaloo.
back in the habit.
Yeah. There you go.
Hell yeah. Dude, I loved those movies.
It wasn't too good for me. I do feel like there was more misses than hits for me. I don't think we need to go over everything again.
Mm-hmm.
We don't. We do not.
It's watch it and form your own opinion. I know that, like I said at the beginning, it wasn't as bad as I remembered, but it still did miss a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There was still a lot to, for me anyway, not like about the movie. I mean, it kind of is what it is, and it doesn't. I think we said it at the beginning, and that's what I'll stick with. It does feel very muted. It feels very just there. And I think it is that, like you said, T, perfect. The other movies, you feel something.
Mm-hmm.
You do get a sense of anxiety or urgency or sadness or anger or whatever. You're just kind of like, oh, what the fuck? You know what I mean? You guys got to get out of there. But for here, you're just kind of like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, that was cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there's this dude again. Mm-hmm.
Oh, he saved him again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's over. Like I didn't ever really feel scared or like I didn't know what was going to come next.
Mm-hmm.
It just felt very formulaic. I think you said that too, babe.
Yeah.
It's what it was.
Like hollow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, the real issue is the writing.
Okay.
I don't understand. It feels like they had so many different ideas that kind of conflict with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And in these moments where you are watching it and you're like, you know, another rewrite, just one more pass through
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
would have fixed this to where these things aren't disparate parts that you're trying to force together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand how a film of this stature and this budget could make these kinds of mistakes.
Yeah.
I think that's where I'm so confused. And the fact that what we're pulling from is one of the best moments from
Yes.
a previous film, and then this is what you did?
Yeah.
I'm just so confused by it. And, you know, I am very appreciative of everyone who loves this film. You love it, and that's amazing, and I'm happy for you.
Of
Yeah.
course.
I feel like watching it for the show kind of gives you focus on things, and then you start picking apart, and then you know,
Yeah.
we end up here.
Here we are. And then you're delirious at 10
Yeah.
p.m. somehow.
But I mean, there are things about it that I do enjoy and appreciate. And it does feel to me like Corin Hardy has a knowledge of horror and an attempt to capture this gothic style.
Yeah.
I feel like everything was there for this to work. It just didn't
Yeah.
Yeah.
for me.
I completely agree with both of you, and I feel like I think I said at the beginning, I can't even kind of remember anything that I've said right now, but it's been a really long night. But I feel like that's what almost is more upsetting. It's not that you guys completely dropped a ball. This was terrible. The acting was bad. The script was bad. The music was bad. Like, it's not like that. There are moments of this that are creepy. There are visuals of this that are creepy. You have Valak, who is fucking scary. You have good. I mean, all the performances were really good. There are so many. It's just like y'all could not. I feel like Tool. I know the pieces fit. Like, I know we could have made something amazing.
Why do you keep putting
I don't
yourself
know.
there?
I got my Spielberg hat. I'm fucking. All right, guys.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, this could have been incredible. And I feel like if it were like Annabelle, again, that to me, that's the worst in the franchise. This isn't even as bad as that for me.
I think that's fair.
But
Although I did appreciate the Rosemary's Baby homages, even if they were
Yeah.
very heavy-handed.
yeah, but what did I
think-
retcon my score? 3?
Yeah.
I stand by it. 10 toes down. Yeah, that is that one was like insulting. This one is like, oh, like you said, if y'all just would have just a little bit more, just read it one more time. Don't look at it in little pieces. Zoom out, look at it as a whole, and see that a lot of these don't fit. A lot of this doesn't make sense. Again, we've been recording for so long tonight and we've gone so off the rails. I can't even detail. I think we've all made it very clear.
Yeah.
What we liked and what we did not like. So with that being said, I think we can kind of go into ratings.
Sure.
I thought that this was absolutely terrible the first time I saw it. And again, rewatching it, I don't think that it's terrible. I think it is a shame. I think it's really a missed opportunity. And I hope that Corin Hardy gets another chance to do something like this, because I would really like to see what he could do with maybe just a stronger screenplay.
Yeah.
It really bums me out. But I mean, I'll ride for Valak. I'm gonna go see The Nun too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I can't fucking be that mad. Like, take more of my money if I can guess. Happy birthday, Rain. But
Hopefully they'll get the extra E this time.
yeah. I'm crossing my fingers, man. But all that's been said in the last, I don't even fucking know how many hours. All that being said, on a scale from 1 to 10, cross-cluttered corridors. And this is hard to score because, like I said, this is not just, oh, that movie's terrible. It has some really great moments, but it has a lot of bad too, for me personally. So on a scale from 1 to 10, cross-cluttered corridors, I am going to give The Nun 4 out of 10 cross-cluttered corridors. There are a few really strong moments in this, a lot of really good performances. That screenplay needed some life support, needed something that it did not get. But I will now open up the floor to you.
Yeah, yeah.
We're all so tired.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I like you said, and we always say all the time, but I think this time, I think I mean it. Or like in this instance, like we always say, we don't need to go over it again, but I think really that's just it. I think I agree. I think the movie's very middle of the road. I didn't hate it. I liked it more than I did the last time. But for the show, when you tear movies apart and you look at every little thing, you do notice the seams. You do see the things that usually if you're just watching the movie, you probably wouldn't even pay attention to or notice. Unless you watched it a few times and you're like, wait a minute, that didn't even make sense. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think for me on a scale of 1 to 10, cross-cluttered hallways? Corridors. All right, I'm sorry. I'm going to give The Nun a 4.5. I liked some of the visuals. I didn't, like I said, I don't hate the movie. I just feel like we should have got maybe a stronger origin story for Valak.
Yes.
She deserves it.
Yeah, stronger. Little stronger.
I agree absolutely with everything that's been said. I think one thing that I want to always do whenever we don't like a film, and I think we've done it here, is point out where they could improve.
Yeah.
Not just saying, well, that sucked, but saying this didn't work for me. Here's why. Here's what they could have done instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like they rewrote it to smithereens.
Yeah.
Clearly.
You feel it.
Yeah. And I just don't understand how it ended up this way when you have a character like Valak the Demon Nun, who honestly is so visually striking that it seems like it would be hard to mess it up.
Yeah.
To give this story, it just seems so strange to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to know more about this nun as a character, not what happened to make the demon come to Earth. Why is it this nun? What is the story of her?
Yeah.
And I know that Bonnie Aarons could do it. Bonnie Aarons is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
She can do both. She can scare the shit out of you as the demon and probably make you feel for
Yes,
the character
yes.
Yeah.
as she becomes a demon.
Yeah.
That's the story I wanted. And sidebar, I did read recently Bonnie Aarons is suing Warner Brothers
Oh, shit.
What?
over like unpaid profits on the merchandising of this character
Really?
that was promised to her.
Oh, that's bullshit.
So I mean, I want to look more into it, but if you aren't paying her for what you promised you
Yeah.
would, that's bullshit.
Good for her.
And get that bag
Absolutely.
because you earned it because you're fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But no, and I think that's really the biggest thing for me. I do want to say, as far as positives, the production design,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
set design, atmosphere in general.
Yeah.
Music?
Yeah, the music, the cinematography, some of the interesting choices in lighting.
Yeah.
Not that scene I couldn't see. But JP saw it, so maybe it's all right.
Yeah. It was great.
But I mean, there are positives. The performances are good.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've gone we've gone quite over the negatives.
Yes.
But I just did want to point out that there are some positive aspects of it.
Oh, yeah.
And there are some really, really cool moments. Phallic gliding down that corridor.
Oh, yeah.
Why can't we have more stuff like that?
The shadow.
The
part.
shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't understand what happened here. And I really hope that whatever did happen here is corrected for the Nun 2. I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for me, out of 10 cross-cluttered corridors, I also, in keeping in line with my Letterboxd score, I gave the Nun 4 cross-cluttered corridors out of 10. It just comes down to the story
Yeah.
and how much I just want to care.
Yeah. Well, that's all from us at Podmortem. What would you rate The Nun, and what should we watch next? Let us know on Twitter at the Podmortem. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Blood and Smoke, at JuggaloDaddy84, and at TravisMWH. Be sure to follow each of us on Twitter at Blood and Smoke, at RealStreeter84, and at TravisMWH. Thanks again to Original Cinematic for sponsoring this week's episode. Please consider pledging to our Patreon and stay tuned until after the episode for a special shout out to our Wendigo Getter patrons. And remember, there are things in this world the door should never be opened for. Once you let them in, there could be grave consequences. Until next time. Thank you for staying tuned for a special thank you to our Wendigo Getter patrons.
Yeah. Woo!
Y'all switched it up, but you both did.
That's-
That was pretty amazing. It's a miracle.
Yeah.
Right, guys?
Very good. Very good. Should have saved that pun for them.
Damn it. A special thank you to
Chris Ontiveros, Kristen Lofton, Megan Martinez, Kimberly Bass, Sophie Hodson, Anthony Jerome M., Jordan Nash, Kent Morton, Lala Tamez, Travis Anissa Hunter, Miguel Myers ATX, Jennifer Perez, Allison O'Neill, Carissa, TJ and Angie Bronson, Gabrielle Trevino, Spooky Mom, Applin Ontiveros, Karima Rhodes, Antonio Huerta, Kimberly Kleindienst, Will Brown, Sydney Smith, Osvaldo Soto, Bobby Holmes, Donna Eason, JD Rezak, Molly Gerhard, Armand Spasto, Eggy, William Barry, Brittany Ramatar, Charity Oxner, Amanda Six, Mandy Rainwater, Eden, Jordan Roberts, Dylan, Melissa Sierra, Holly Bryan, Jordan Blevins, Liz Heath, Spencer Montavo, Pancake the Panda, John Ramos, Michael Nuding, Alexis Roberts, Dan Laveau, Itzy M, Gary Horton, Leisha Olivier, Kate Lamp, Carlos and Sydney, Jessica Hunter, Helena Rudder, Alan Johnston, Mariah, Livy Fun,
Mandy M., Scott Troutman Wise, Mozzie Bear, Brittany G., Dave Burke, Adrian Stakes, Nick Spill, Emma Hagel Kissinger, Valerie G., Emiliana, Brian Glass, CB, Taylor Santana, Will Lewison, Angelique, Smelly Poo Poo Head, Beth Bauer, Cookie, Esperanza J., Jason Kyle, OKC, Joshua Rumley, Danielle Peralta, Brandon, Nicholas Carter, Sawyer Reese Farr, Dr. Diva Loves Horror, Girl That's Scary, Cassandra, Andrea Simmons, Ashley Higuera, William and Xxena Rush, Ryan Brom, Megan Ochoa, Laura Lassiter, Natalie de Guzman, Eileen O, Marissa E, Sydney, Henry F, Megan M, Strangely Sarah, Christy Beck, Nancy and Andy, Amanda Lopez, Andy Terrell, Jason Hanovan, ML Tafoya, Abigail Spitzer, Katie K, Erica Morin,
Cameron S., Nicole Stewart, Tris Wynn, K.87, Mariah Jensen, Carrie A., Lonnie Lono, Powell, Kayla E., Maggie H., Fernando Dominguez, Murder Stina, No Thanks Tom Hanks, Kevin McGonigal, Kristen Marcy, Ori 81 Boricua, Look Like That One Girl, Bog Boy, Montez Shamwow, Felnez 63, Alita Pui, Probably My Jugs, Kate Thackeray, Wade Pack, Charlie V., A Lizard, Bryant Watson, Luke Ashley, Jay Rich, Jen Lassiter, Topher Williams, Elena Metler, Neil Chesson, Valerie K., Kim Sterling, Christy Lee Kruger, Professor of Humanities Laura McCarricker, Naomi, Josh Smith, Autumn Green, Jess L., Eat Cell, Heather Santiano, Abby Kopp, and Crystal 831. Thank you all so much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you all. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really just need you to know that you are second to none.
All right, I see. I see why you're all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the better one in the chamber.
Yeah. Until next time.